Family cultivation. My mobile phone traveled through time. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476, Nascent Soul 6th level. The Jade Dragon King spoke, speaking of the virtues of a king. Fight with wits and courage, but not with anger. It is easy to understand, but difficult to do. The reason why many people's IQs drop is because of fighting. Anger affects their IQs and makes them stupid. The Jade Dragon King said, we cultivators should always remember why we have a purpose and not let our emotions influence our choices. For example, we hate someone so much, but if that person can benefit the family and ourselves, we should think about turning enemies into friends, rather than blindly being hostile. For example, if we have only some small grudges with some people, but we can't forget them, and don't distinguish between the important and the unimportant, this is a big mistake. For example, when their interests are not violated, they are often amiable. Only when their interests are violated, they will become bad people. The psychology of these bad people is actually very easy to figure out. As long as you don't provoke bad people, as long as you don't violate their interests, bad people are very friendly. But some cultivators will kill someone if they are not happy with them, and they will beat someone if they are unhappy with them. They think they are powerful and can beat whoever they want to beat and kill whoever they want. This kind of cultivator is not a bad person, but a mental patient. This world allows bad people to exist, but it does not allow mental patients to exist. I have said so much, do you understand? Long Yuge said, Father, do you want me to let go of hatred? You are wrong. I'm not asking you to let go of your hatred, but you should not lose the big picture because of hatred. Jade Dragon King said, many gods have discussed and decided that Chu is not easy to fight, so they will fight Wu and Yu. As for Chu, they can only give up temporarily. I understand. Long Yuge said, with reluctance in her eyes, but she could only endure it. She could not question the decisions of many predecessors, so she could only accept them. Not long after, a secret order came from the sea. The news shocked the Sea Clan, and many cultivators were unwilling. They were slapped in the face like this, and finally left in disgrace. How unwilling. Many cultivators shouted that blood debts must be paid with blood, but they only shouted a few words. Then they chose to remain silent. At the same time, many cultivators breathed a sigh of relief and became cheerful, because there was no need to fight Chu to the death. Chu was too difficult to fight, and too difficult to chew. The Sea Clan came to the land to grab territory, to grab resources, to gain benefits, not to lose their lives. Now the losses are huge, and the blood is flowing. It is time to evacuate in time, and stop the losses in time, instead of entangled here endlessly. At the end of the battle, even if the Chu state is defeated, the huge losses will not outweigh the gains. The strong enemy is not just the Chu state. As the saying goes, the first bird to stick its head out gets shot, and it is, because it sticks out too much that it suffers huge losses, and cannot withstand the subsequent waves of attacks and withdraws early. If the Sea Clan wants to have the last laugh, it must cherish its troops. The Sea Clan is gradually withdrawing its troops. In just less than 10 years, most of the troops have withdrawn and turned their guns to attack the Yu state, Wu state, etc. Whoosh. The bushinding is making a wheezing sound. As the big cauldron makes a sound, the medicine inside is violently impacted, and the big cauldron is shaking violently. After a while, accompanied by a violent noise, the big cauldron opens. When the big cauldron is opened, 9 pills fly out, emitting a rich fragrance. The pills are the size of quail eggs, and appear in the form of babies. They are the Yuanying pills. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji took out the 5th grade medicine gourd, and immediately, one pill after another, entered the gourd, and began to warm up. Under the warming of the gourd, the medicinal power was slowly increasing. Finally, the alchemy is over. 10 years have passed, and the Sea Clan has not attacked yet. At this moment, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. 10 years of alchemy, finally over. After the fight, Xuanji began to refine the nascent soul pill. Because the war continued, some auxiliary medicines were missing. Lu Xuanji could only temporarily change the formula of the pill, optimize and integrate its medicinal power, and refine the nascent soul pill again. One by one, the nascent soul pills took shape. In just 10 years, 130 nascent soul pills were born. Some of these pills were left for himself, and some were left for Jinzi, Yuanai and others. When refining the pill, Lu Xuanji was also on guard, ready to end the alchemy at any time and fight with the Sea clan. At this point in the war, there was no possibility of retreat. The whole Chu state was fully mobilized, and was going to fight to the end. But the Sea clan on the opposite side was very quiet, unnaturally quiet. While on alert, Lu Xuanji also began to take Yuanying pills to improve his cultivation, one after another, constantly speeding up the refining of the medicinal power. Originally, it would take 30 years to digest a Yuanying pill, so that the medicinal power can be perfectly absorbed, and the poison in the pill can be eliminated in time, reducing the harm to the human body to the extreme. But in order to improve his cultivation, it only took 3 short years, a Yuanying pill, but the price was that the medicinal power of 5 layers was directly consumed. But the speed of cultivation improvement was also accelerating. At the moment of the 10th year, Lu Xuanji was already at the peak of the 5th level of Yuanying, and only a little opportunity was needed to enter the 6th level of Yuanying. But the price was not only the huge consumption of Yuanying pills, but also his own cultivation became superficial, and the poison penetrated into the bone marrow, bringing potential hidden dangers. But now, he can't care so much. Tomorrow and accidents, you never know which will come first. Now a little more strength. Tomorrow there is a little more chance to survive. As for the potential, that has not grown. It is just useless. Forget it. The Sea tribe didn't attack. I will continue to improve my cultivation. Thinking of this, Lu Xuanji took another Yuanying pill and began to refine the medicinal power. The medicinal power was melting and began to merge into his body, and his cultivation was slowly improving. At the 20th year, Lu Xuanji had taken 8 Yuanying pills. Most of the medicinal power was wasted because he swallowed it too quickly, but his cultivation was rising with continuous drug consumption. Crack. At this moment, accompanied by a violent sound, the key in his body surged, the bottleneck was broken, and Lu Xuanji entered the 6th level of Yuanying. Yuanying was changing, and its appearance became clearer. It seemed to grow up and turned into a 6-year-old child. The mana was increasing step by step, and it had reached 12,000 jazi. The mana was already comparable to the early stage of the god of transformation. Of course, the battle of a cultivator is not just about mana, but also about the quality of mana, divine will, magic weapon, magical power, secret technique, fighting mentality, etc., which together constitute a perfect combat system. He was only comparable to the early stage of the god of transformation in terms of the amount of mana. But in terms of the quality of mana, it is not as good as the divine transformation cultivator. In terms of magic weapons, it is also inferior. Only in terms of magical powers and secret techniques, it has a slight advantage. If you encounter a divine transformation cultivator, you will still be defeated, but you will not be killed instantly. At least, you can withstand 2 or 3 moves before being killed. Chapter 477. Chu state ceases hostilities. Wu and Yu resume fighting. Swish. At this moment, he activated his magic power, and in just a moment, the 9-colored divine sword took shape, and could be chopped out. The divine sword in the state of great perfection is already comparable to the peak of half-step transformation, infinitely close to transformation. His footsteps flashed again, activating golden light of the earth, which was faster and lasted longer, and could last for 20 breaths before the magic power was exhausted. Buzz. 5 halos rose up, constantly operating life and death, and the defense power was greatly improved. He activated the pure yang true fire again, and the runes on the flames were flashing, and the power of the rapid attack was greatly improved. He operated many magic weapons again, and the precious light was flashing, evolving into a killing and destructive force. Feeling the improvement of cultivation and the improvement of combat power, he couldn't help but feel happy. The improvement of cultivation means that in the next battle, the probability of survival is higher and more enemies can be killed. At this time, Master Mou came from afar, and said with a smile, "Congratulations, fellow Daoist, for entering the 6th level of the nascent soul. Fellow Daoist is not bad either. You have also entered the peak of the nascent soul. Lu Xuanji stepped forward and said with a smile. Congratulations, congratulations. Master Mou said with a smile. 10 years ago, the Sea Clan began to withdraw troops on a large scale. Now, on the East China Sea, all the elite of the Sea Clan have evacuated, leaving only a few Jindan cultivators and Zifu cultivators. The war on the eastern front of our Chu state is temporarily over, and we are safe. Lu Xuanji said worriedly. Fellow Daoist, be careful. Beware of the Sea Clan's trickery. Beware of the enemy's counterattack. Haha, no, because after the Sea Clan withdrew on a large scale, they landed in Wu State and Yu State, and fierce battles broke out there, and they were constantly fierce. Master Mou said with a smile. The battle there also means that we are safe here. Safe. Lu Xuanji was still puzzled, feeling as if in a dream. I was planning to fight to the end, but the Sea Clan actually withdrew. They are kidding me. Mou's engine smiled and said, it's safe. At least we are safe before the fall of Yu and Wu. For the time being, Chu can rest and recuperate, and we can also breathe a sigh of relief. Lu Xuanji said, is it over like this? We killed a lot of Yuaning's engine and Jindan Zenran of the Sea Clan. They hated us so much, but it's over like this. If you want to conquer Chu, you need to pay a huge price, and many Jindan Zenran and Yuaning's engine need to die. Those gods should also consider the monks below and give in when they should, instead of fighting to the end. Mou's engine said calmly. The gods also need friends, subordinates, comrades, etc. As long as you don't want to be alone, you have to consider the opinions of friends, subordinates, and comrades. After that battle, many Yuaning's engine, Jindan Zenran, etc. didn't want to fight anymore. Those gods could not refute the opinions of the crowd and act on their own. It's safe. In a trance, Lu Xuanji returned to the cave. It still felt like a dream. I can't believe that the war is over like this. As if thinking of something, Lu Xuanji turned on his phone and opened the 100 maps. On the 100 maps, a picture of the East China Sea appeared. In the picture, there are only a few Jindan cultivators, a large number of Zifu cultivators, and various sea creatures, etc. These sea creatures are not enough in quantity and quality for a big decisive battle. The map was enlarged again, and on the enlarged map, the map of Yu State and the map of Wu State appeared. On the map, fierce battles took place in these areas. Many coastal areas of Wu and Yu State fell, and some areas turned red. The cultivators of both sides were fighting bloody battles, and the intensity of the battle was very high. The fight was also bloody and the killing was amazing. Wu State had more fallen areas, about 2/3 of its territory fell. As for Yu State, half of its territory fell. Around some solid fortresses and some strategic locations, the two sides were in fierce bloody battles. After the initial engulfment, the Sea Clan began to gradually advance, gradually nibbling away, constantly consuming the number of monks from Yu and Wu, and constantly bleeding them. When these two countries lose too much blood, it will be the time to completely destroy them. After the destruction of these two countries, they will start to attack from the east and south lines, and even destroy Chu to avenge their hatred. The picture zoomed in again, and some battle scenes and some fighting scenes appeared. The Sea Clan monks were fighting with the monks from Wu and Yu. The Sea Clan is training. Looking at the battlefield picture, Lu Xuanji suddenly realized something. In the seabed of the East China Sea, there are more demons, more resources, more monks born, and stronger quality. But correspondingly, it seems that under the constraints of the Dragon Palace of the East China Sea, the various clans are relatively peaceful, resulting in a relative lack of combat experience and a clear lack of fighting will. It just happened to take advantage of the invasion of the human race to start training and improve combat experience. In the early stage, the two sides fought with key refining monks, followed by foundation building monks, and then the Purple Palace Golden Core. They all used the tactics of adding fuel to the fire and fought in turns. After observing for a long time, Lu Xuanji turned off the Beidou map and breathed a sigh of relief. In war, we must also calculate the cost and the benefits. Two types of wars should be avoided as much as possible. One type of war will not be carried out if the benefits are too small. The other type of war will cost too much and is not worth starting. In the previous life, The rabbit and the eagle source fought in Korea and ended 3 years later. In the end, the eagle source said that we won, pushing the enemy from Busan to the 38th parallel. The enemy died 390,000 and we died 110,000. The enemy died more than us, so we naturally won a great victory. But the rabbit also said that we won, directly pushing the enemy from the Yalu River to the 38th parallel, defending the country and winning. We won a great victory. So, both sides celebrated their victory, and then both sides stopped fighting. Because if we continue to fight, there will be little benefit and the cost of war is very high, so let's stop the war. As for killing people, just for the sake of anger, killing people and turning the world upside down. Sorry, we are not children. We will not be angry. The Sea tribe on the opposite side saw that the cost of continuing to fight was too high and the benefits were too small. So, they turned around and went to fight Xuanji. Chu was temporarily at peace. This kind of peace was very fragile and very easy to start again, but at least it was peaceful now. As the Sea tribe withdrew its troops, Chu also withdrew its troops on the eastern front. Only a few cultivators were stationed here to serve as an early warning. Xuanji also left. About 3 days later, he returned to the Lu family. Along the way, countless villages sprang up, and people flowed in an endless stream. After decades of recuperation, the once dilapidated Chu regained a bit of vitality. Chapter 478 The current situation of the Lu family. Walking in Chu, Xuanji felt that Chu had regained a bit of vitality and the population was recovering. In just 100 years, the population had recovered to as many as 500 billion. The speed of population recovery was beyond people's imagination. This is the power of the cultivators. As long as the cultivators are willing, they can issue various policies to encourage childbirth. Even forced marriage and forced childbirth can be used. Only with a large enough population can a strong team of cultivators be supported to fight against the demons. It seems that the number of cultivators is a bit small. Under the unified deployment of the 5 great gods, a large number of Yanling pills were refined. Yanling pills can awaken the spiritual roots of mortals. The higher the grade of Yanling pill, the higher the probability of awakening the spiritual roots of mortals. The first grade Yanling pill has a 1000th probability of awakening the spiritual roots. The second grade Yanling pill has a 100th probability of awakening the spiritual roots. The third grade has a 1/10th probability. The fourth grade has a half probability. And the fifth grade will definitely awaken the spiritual roots. Once in the ancient times, there were human strongmen who relied on Yanling pills to awaken the spiritual roots of all humans and embark on the road of universal cultivation. Originally, the wealth of the Chu state was not enough to support the awakening of spiritual roots of all the people, nor was it enough for all the people to practice cultivation. However, with the invasion of the demon race, the high-level cultivators of the human race felt a sense of crisis, so a large number of first-grade and second-grade Yanling pills were scattered among the people. If you have connections and backgrounds, you can even buy third-grade Yanling pills. As a large number of Yanling pills were taken by mortals, the number of cultivators continued to increase, even expand. In the past, only one person in 1,000 could awaken his spiritual roots and become a cultivator, but now, 30 people in every 1,000 awaken their spiritual roots and embark on the path of cultivation. As the number of Yanling pills continues to become popular, the number of cultivators is still expanding. Feeling the changes in the Chu state, the key training cultivators and foundation building cultivators walking almost everywhere, Xuanji was slightly worried, even a little scared. In ancient times, the era of universal cultivation was opened, and then it failed, and it was a miserable loss. Because the amount of spiritual energy generated in the world within a certain period of time is limited, if everyone starts practicing cultivation, the consumption of spiritual energy of heaven and earth will be huge, and the consumption of various elixirs, magic weapons, talismans, spiritual stones, etc. will also be huge, which will aggravate the exhaustion of the world in the arrival of the Dharma ending age. The resources of the world are limited, and not enough to support the cultivation of all people. Similarly, the cultivation of all people will also aggravate the internal circulation of the world, aggravate various contradictions, and even war. In the end, the vigorous cultivation of all people ended bleakly. The cultivation of all people has aggravated the internal circulation of the world of cultivation. Lu Xuanji sighed slightly. Walking along the road, he felt that the spiritual energy of Chu was declining, and the spiritual energy was so thin that it was invisible, as if it was about to enter the Dharma ending age. His footsteps flashed, and he returned to the Lu family. Feeling his aura, the door opened automatically. Lu Xuanji entered it, and felt the rich spiritual energy. Xuanji, you are back. At this time, Yi Wanai appeared. After not seeing her for a long time, her cultivation was also improving, and she was already at the 3rd level of the nascent soul. How are you recently? Yi Wanai asked. Everything is fine. Chu is peaceful. Lu Xuanji asked. How is the Lu family recently? Chu is fine. The Lu family is also fine, but the situation is a little chaotic. Yi Wanai worriedly said. The number of cultivators is increasing, and it feels like exhausting the resources. In order to cope with the crisis, Chu is increasing the number of cultivators. Because of the increase in the number of cultivators, the demand for spiritual veins is also great. Therefore, the construction of some large spiritual veins has seriously drained the spiritual energy from the outside world. The spiritual energy in the outside world is so thin that it is less than 1/10 of the past. Lu Xuanji asked, what else? Yi Wanai said, the whole country of Chu has entered a general mobilization and is ready to go to war at any time. The Lu family's treasure house was opened, and the many spiritual medicines, elixirs, talismans, magic weapons, etc. in it were all distributed to the hands of cultivators to enhance the family's power. In just a few decades, the number of Lu family cultivators has expanded to more than 3 million. Among them, there are more than 100,000 foundation building cultivators, 2,000 purple mansion cultivators, only 30 golden elixir cultivators, and 12 Yuanying cultivators. Not long ago, King Lian returned and became the 5th ancestor of the Chu state. She promised to protect my Lu family until now. We have a backer, and are considered to be the top family in the Chu state. But correspondingly, we have also entered the cusp of the storm. If it is a crisis, the Lu family is most likely to be wiped out. By the way, not long ago I planned to summon Zana and Faina to return, but they refused and planned to fight outside. Lu Xuanji said, Chu state is not safe either. It's not bad to mix outside. Then, he asked some details. Yi Wanai also responded. Lu Xuanji listened carefully and frowned slightly. Combining what he saw and heard along the way with Yi Wanai's words, Lu Xuanji gradually outlined the overall situation of the Chu state. After King Lian came out of retreat, she joined the Chu state and became the 5th god of transformation in the Chu state. The other 4 god of transformation cultivators in the Chu state all welcomed this newly born god of transformation. One more comrade in arms means one more person to share the pressure, which is a good thing. Similarly, because King Lian achieved the path of God of Transformation, the Lu family also benefited from it. Originally, after the fall of Chu's territory, many Yuanying families lost their territories and began to migrate to the territory where the Lu family was located. At the beginning, it was relatively stable, but gradually some bad thoughts came to mind. They wanted to bite off a few pieces of meat from the Lu family. But as King Lian achieved enlightenment and became a god, they all started to lick their knees. Many Yuanying families were willing to be vassals of the Lu family. Up to now, there are 8 Yuanying families and more than 30 Jiandan families willing to be vassal families of the Lu family. In terms of the number of cultivators under their control, the Lu family's influence has expanded a lot. The Lu family's territory is also expanding. As for those lower level immortal cultivation families, there is no telling how many there are. In the turmoil, the Lu family reached its peak. It's just that the Lu family developed too fast, and some of the younger generation couldn't keep up. For example, key refining cultivators, foundation building cultivators, etc. As long as you are willing to spend money, you can cultivate them in large numbers. But when you reach the purple mansion stage, it is not a simple resource that can be cultivated, but also requires qualifications, comprehension, luck, opportunity and many other factors. The number of purple mansion cultivators and Jiandan cultivators in the Lu family has decreased a lot. In other families, the ratio of Jiandan cultivators to Yuanying cultivators is 10 to 1, 20 to 1, or even 30 to 1. but the Lu family is better, with 30 Jiandan cultivators and 12 Yuanying cultivators. Ever since the Great Elder died in the calamity, Yuanyi began to take charge of the family. Under her management, the Lu family is developing in an orderly manner. Various problems have been solved at one stroke, but the overall development is good. Yuanyi said a lot. Lu Xuanji listened carefully, and after a long time, he said, Wanyi, family affairs must be dealt with, but you must also deal with your own cultivation. The troubled times are coming, and the world has begun to fall into chaos. Recently, the number of Yuanying cultivators who have died in the state of Chu is countless. Even Bidao Xianzhen has fallen, and you, a Yuanying cultivator like me, are a little slow in cultivation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479 Lu Xuanji's Path. Husband, I'm not slow. Yuanyi said, after reaching the nascent soul stage, you have to gradually walk out of your own path and create a technique that suits you. The time I spent comprehending the technique delayed my practice. Lu Xuanji was speechless. Then he remembered that the nascent soul stage was different from the previous stages. Before the golden core stage, the cultivator's talent and aptitude were tested. Those with good aptitude practiced quickly and had a bright future. As for comprehension, it was not important. But after reaching the nascent soul stage, comprehension became very important. Comprehension determines how far a cultivator can go in the future. This is because, in the early stages of a cultivator, he practiced the techniques of his predecessors, but after reaching the nascent soul stage, he had to embark on the path of creating his own techniques. The strongest technique is not as good as the one that suits you best. As for the idea that, if I practice the immortal technique, I can be invincible, become a great master of refining emptiness, a powerful master of the Dao, etc., I can only say that I'm overthinking. In the early stage of the golden core stage, Lu Xuanji created the creation art by himself. After reaching the nascent soul stage, he constantly deleted and modified it to make it suitable for himself. Although the creation art is not as mysterious as the yin-yang transformation and the pure yang sutra, it is also the most suitable for him and can be said to be his fundamental practice. Lu Xuanji started the path of creating his own practice earlier and practiced the creation art. His practice speed was extremely fast. After entering the nascent soul stage, it took only 300 years for him to reach the 6th level of the nascent soul stage. He did not encounter any bottlenecks in the middle and made rapid progress. But Yuanyi was much worse. She was not good enough in comprehension, stumbling and advancing slowly. Forget it, I have a volume of practice that I deduced, which is just right for you. Lu Xuanji thought of something and closed his eyes to think. At this moment, the mobile phone was activated, and Destiny Deduction was calculating the practice. With the Ice Soul Sutra as the foundation, and integrating many practices, it began to deduce, and gradually a new practice gradually took shape. It can be practiced all the way to the realm of transformation. This was deduced by the mobile phone, which fits Yuanyi. In the past, Lu Xuanji did not want this to happen, which might delay Yuanyi's path. Whether the shoes fit or not, you don't know, only your feet know. Whether a monk is suitable for practicing a certain technique, the monk himself doesn't know, only after practicing for a long time can he know. The mobile phone deduced the corresponding technique, based on Yuanyi's physique, talent, comprehension, qualifications, technique and many other conditions. The technique given to Yuanyi is the one that the mobile phone thinks is the most suitable. But is it really suitable? Lu Xuanji is very skeptical. Big data is not omnipotent and has its shortcomings. After receiving the scripture, Yuanyi's eyes flashed with surprise, and she couldn't help but said happily, "Husband, this scripture is the most suitable for me. Did you deduce it for me?" "Yes." Lu Xuanji said, "I didn't want to do this at first. After all, what I think is the most suitable may not really be suitable for you. If there is enough time, I will not replace you to walk this path." Instead, I will let you grope and explore your own path. But now, time is too late. In the face of survival, the so-called path is no longer important. Taking the wrong path may not kill you, but if you practice slowly, you will definitely die. We don't have time. Xuanji said, husband, you think too much. I'm very satisfied to have come this far. You are afraid of delaying my path, but I'm not afraid. After comprehending for a while, Xuanji's expression changed slightly. The Bingpo Sutra is still the Bingpo Sutra, but some content has been deleted and revised. It may not be the best, but it is the most suitable for her. In this newly revised scripture, suitability is the first, speed is the second, and combat effectiveness is the third. In order to pursue suitability, some things must be abandoned. For example, the combat effectiveness will be weakened, the endurance will decrease, and the mana will decrease, but it is perfectly suited to oneself, and tailor-made for oneself. At the same time, the cultivation speed will be much faster. In terms of combat effectiveness, it is still very powerful, surpassing 90% of the exercises, but it is a little worse than the top exercises. Looking at this scripture, Xuanji also understood what the so-called price is. The husband's qualifications are not good. He only has 3 spiritual roots. Among the cultivators, he can only be regarded as medium, not as good as those geniuses. For the husband, the most important thing is to practice quickly and enter the next realm before the lifespan is exhausted. As for the lack of combat effectiveness, it can be compensated by magic weapons, talismans, and high-grade magical powers. Therefore, in the 3 realms of key refining, foundation building, and purple mansion, the biggest feature of the cultivation method practiced by the husband is fast speed. As for the purity of true ki, the strength of true ki, and combat effectiveness, it can only be said to be above average, not top level. After reaching the golden core, he began to focus on the strength of mana in the foundation, but it was just a focus. In the practice he was cultivating, speed was the first, suitability was the second, and combat power was the third. On the road of cultivation, Xuanji pursued a fast practice speed, and gave up many things for the sake of speed. He gave up some of his foundation, and gave up the ultimate attack power. For example, the pure Yang Dao body should take the ultimate pure Yang path, and maintain the body of a boy, so that the combat power would be extremely terrifying. But Xuanji broke the body of a boy, cultivated yin-yang transformation, and practiced yin and yang with a woman. In this way, the speed of cultivation was much faster, but the purity was lost. Compared with the pure yang mana of the pure Yang Dao body of the same realm, it was much weaker. But a big weakness is a big weakness, and you can cultivate the top killing magic to make up for the lack of mana. For him, being invincible in the same realm is not only meaningless, but also a waste of time. Instead of spending a lot of time and a lot of resources to pursue being invincible in the same realm, I would have left all the way and reached the peak. In the world of cultivating immortals, there is no martial ethics, and only fools will fight in the same realm. Bullying the weak with the strong is the kingly way. Pursuing invincibility in the same realm is either obsessive compulsive disorder or a poor mind. As for whether he will be beaten up by a genius in a duel in the same realm, Xuanji is not worried at all. I have 24 magic weapons. I can suppress the enemy with many treasures. If it doesn't work, I can activate Golden Light of the Earth to turn into Golden Light and run away. As for whether he will lose his Taoism, if he loses like this, he is not a glass heart. Flipping through these scriptures, Xuanji said, Xuanji, is this your path? Yes, this is my path. Xuanji said, I'm not a genius, and I can't take the strongest path. If I take this path, it will take a long time and consume more resources, but I have no money and no resources. I can only take the path that suits me best, the fastest path. Thank you for your hard work. Xuanji led and began to comprehend the scriptures. The skills on his body were transforming, becoming more suitable for himself, and the speed was much faster, but the corresponding combat effectiveness was decreasing. It's just that between the increase and the decrease, the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. Chapter 480 Goodbye Kinglian. After talking for a while, Xuanji had already left. Xuanji also left, and went to the cave to comprehend the skills. It would take a long time to sort out, summarize and adjust the skills. After leaving the hall, Xuanji wandered around Changyuan Mountain. At this moment, the Lu family's ancestral land is composed of 18 mountain ranges, and there are 72 small mountain ranges guarding it. Under the mountain ranges are buried 9 5th grade spiritual veins and 81 4th grade spiritual veins. Many spiritual veins are combined together, and the key is connected to each other, and there are powerful formations to suppress them. In the central core position, there is also a 6th grade formation. This formation was set up by King Lian. Not long ago, she returned to the Lu family and arranged it here. The scattered formations of the Lu family became more solidified, and many formations were combined together to form a huge whole that operated like a giant hedgehog. At this moment, the Lu family's defense is so strong that even if a cultivator of the divine transformation wants to break through, it will take 3 days and 3 nights. The Lu family has changed, and it has become very different. It seems that the array setup is somewhat ruthless in extracting the spiritual energy from the outside world, causing the spiritual energy nearby to be dry and silent, almost entering the end of the law era. Walking in the Lu family, Xuanji felt a little strange. It has been about 100 years since I last saw it, and the Lu family has changed. Many places are different. Walking in the mountains, I saw some large schools where there were key refining monks as teachers, educating children in literacy and martial arts, identifying the meridians and acupoints of the human body, learning common sense of cultivation, etc. The number of monks is increasing. There are 13 million monks in the Lu family alone, of which more than 10 million are newly recruited newcomers, and their cultivation is only the first or second level of key training. With the increase in the number of monks, the Lu family seems a little crowded, and various pressures are increasing. Many monks complained, but after complaining, they could only remain silent. Walking casually, Xuanji came to the back mountain. There are graves here. Father, mother, I'm here to see you. Grand Elder, I'm here to see you. Walking here, Xuanji's expression fluctuated. Some things from the past flashed in his eyes. As time passed, most of the old generation of monks disappeared. Most of the monks of the same generation also died, and even the younger generation of monks also died. Now, he can be said to be the ancestor. Many monks of the Lu family looked at him with respect and fear, but they did not feel close to him. Looking back on the past, the memories of those people are gradually blurring. When he recalled again, he could not remember what they looked like. After just a moment, Xuanji disappeared. Walking and walking, he wanted to get close to some monks of the Lu family, but most of them could not even remember their names. Back in the cave, Xuanji was about to meditate and practice when he suddenly saw a woman in green clothes appear. She had a stunning appearance, and her beautiful face was accompanied by a noble temperament, like a phoenix high above. She had a phoenix-shaped bun on her head. She was graceful and elegant, with bright eyes and a radiant look. Her skin was smoother than frost and snow, and she was wearing a purple floral dress, with a graceful and beautiful figure. She had a graceful figure and a tall body, about 1.75 meters tall. She exuded a faint Taoist charm, giving people a sense of purity and purity. But deep down, there were terrifying demonic thoughts rising, as if they were about to evolve into a demonic land. King Lian, congratulations on your enlightenment and becoming a god and walking ahead of us. Xuanji stepped forward and said, I just happened to be there. King Lian said, the world has calamities, and every time a calamity comes, it is also the moment when opportunities come. This time, the state of Chu encountered a calamity. The sky was murderous, and the lives of the human race were devastated. The luck in the dark was flourishing, and endless luck descended on me, so I could ride the wind and leap into the sky. In addition, my body is King Lian, which is originally a 7th grade spiritual treasure. It was transformed with the help of Jinx's flesh and blood. The origin is thick and powerful. In the past, I was restricted by Jinxie, and it has been difficult to grow. But after practicing the yin-yang body of Liangai, I cut off the connection between each other, and I took this opportunity to go a step further. But there are gains and losses. King Lian made me, but also restricted me. Reaching the peak of Liangsu is my ultimate. It is almost impossible to step into head AO. Xuanji listened and smiled. The limitation of the body is only temporary. I think you will be able to break the shackles and soar into the sky soon. How difficult is it to break the shackles? King Lian said, at the beginning, Yuhua Daojin only refined the pure lotus to the 7th grade. Of course, there were insufficient materials and time. But fundamentally, it was because it was difficult to upgrade. Xuanji, are you willing to help me? Yes. Lu Xuanji said, how can I help you? Liangai Yin Yang body follows the path of Liangai creation, the birth and death of yin and yang, and its fundamental core is the birth and death of yin and yang. I'm a woman, and I have no lack of yin. But I need to use your yang to practice a little. King Lian said. Yes. Okay then. Soon, the two merged together. Originally, the main purpose was to improve the cultivation, but gradually indulged in it, and forgot to practice. There was a sense of putting the cart before the horse. Many things, at the beginning, I felt that I could control them well, but in fact, it was very difficult to control them. Lu Xuanji reminded him several times, but King Lian ignored it, and continued to indulge in it for a few days. After a few days, it came to an end. On the bed, King Lian's face flushed, and she felt indescribably comfortable. The good years always make people addicted. Lu Xuanji's eyes were wandering, but his body was slightly weak, and he couldn't bear it. The difference in cultivation was a bit huge, which led to a huge difference in combat power. You have to carefully comprehend this technique. King Lian said, and pointed his finger, and a technique was transmitted over, which contained the secrets of yin and yang, the mystery of all things, and the supreme way. Soon the techniques were running together, and the yin and yang energies were flowing, gradually entering the magic. The speed of cultivation was accelerating, and both sides gradually entered the state. At this moment, Lu Xuanji felt that the elixir poison deposited in his body was melting bit by bit, and began to be absorbed by the body, and converted into mana. It is a 3-point poisoning medicine, and any elixir has elixir poison. Cultivators can use mana to eliminate elixir poison. But if you take too many elixirs and too frequently, it will destroy this orderly detoxification. Recently, he has taken a lot of Yuan pills, and has been a little diligent, causing the elixir poison to settle in his body. With the help of this weekend, the poison was being digested bit by bit, and the cultivation was steadily improving. The poison that had settled in the body was constantly dissolving under the flushing of the yin and yang energies, and was transformed into a little bit of mana. The cultivation was steadily improving. In just a short moment, it saved decades of time. Chapter 481, Constructing 33 Days. The poison was being digested, and his cultivation was steadily improving, and soon he reached the peak of the 6th level of the nascent soul. It seemed that he would soon be able to break through the 7th level of the nascent soul. But at this time, Lu Xuanji's cultivation not only did not improve, but it was declining. It dropped to the 6th level of the nascent soul, the 5th level of the nascent soul, the 4th level of the nascent soul, the 3rd level of the nascent soul, and finally dropped to the 2nd level of the nascent soul, and then stopped. The cultivation was declining, but Lu Xuanji's cultivation did not decline, but improved a lot. The foundation became more solid, and the mana became more refined. It was like a sponge that was constantly compressed to the point of steel. It seemed that the volume was shrinking, but it was essentially transforming. Over the years, Lu Xuanji had given up many things in pursuit of speed and the pursuit of being in harmony with himself, resulting in his mana not being pure enough, his foundation being somewhat lacking, and the number of nascent soul pills he had taken was a bit too much, so his cultivation was a bit superficial. King Lian used the double rest to help him consolidate his foundation. His cultivation was declining, but his foundation became more solid. With the consolidation of his cultivation, Lu Xuanji's cultivation began to recover again. The 3rd level of the nascent soul, the 4th level of the nascent soul, the 5th level of the nascent soul, the 6th level of the nascent soul, until the original realm is restored, the cultivation will stop. Feeling the breath on his body, Lu Xuanji was slightly happy. But at this moment, a supreme demon state of mind suppressed it, as if a group of demons had descended, as if it was going to evolve into a demon domain. This is the divine will of King Lian, endless demonic land. Endless demonic land suppressed it, and Lu Xuanji suddenly felt like he had entered hell, and his whole body was cold. The pure Yang Taoist body automatically moved, like a wave, to resist endless demonic land. However, it was useless, and the pure Yang Taoist body was defeated step by step. It was completely defeated. Originally, the pure Yang Taoist body was extremely strong and yang, and it was born to restrain the demonic energy and many demonic powers. However, his cultivation was too weak and too low. How could a mere 6th level of the nascent soul resist the demonic will of the god transformation? Just when the pure Yang Dao body was about to be annihilated, a blue lotus rose from the endless demonic land. The blue lotus was evergreen, emitting white light, rising from the mud without being stained, and absorbing the demonic energy and turning it into its own nutrients. The blue lotus and the demonic land, two completely opposite gods, merged with each other, good and evil, black and white, intertwined with each other. They are mutually complementary and originally one. However, in the seemingly harmonious situation, Xuanji saw a trace of disharmony. The blue lotus can certainly absorb the demonic energy, purify it, and strengthen itself. But the blue lotus is too weak, and the amount of demonic energy it absorbs is limited, which restricts its own development. But, at this moment, Xuanji activated the vision, and the pure Yang sun rose up. Under the sun, the lotus absorbs sunlight and grows faster. The blue lotus is growing, and the suppression of the demonic land on it is also reduced, and they are balanced again. Crash, crash. The blue lotus is swaying and growing. I don't know how long it has been, and the vision disappeared. Xuanji opened his eyes, and there was only the beauty close at hand. 3 years later, King Lian left. Because not long ago, news came that the demon tribe was going to attack again. The situation on the front line was critical, and she had to rush to the front line to resist the demon tribe. Soon, Xuanji was the only one left. She has two major divine intentions. One is endless demonic land, which is evolved from the heavenly demon Dao body. The other is blue lotus purifying world, which is evolved from the original body King Lian. After comprehending the mystery of yin and yang, and after the fusion of yin and yang, she tried to fuse them together and turn them into a vision, and the result was successful, but half of the success still needs the help of my yin and yang to perfectly fuse. Xuanji frowned slightly. In the Jiandan realm, cultivators will evolve various visions, such as the eternal stars, the endless night, the yin and yang diagram, the sword breaking the sky, the black and white years diagram, etc. Some of these visions evolved from the exercises, some evolved from the magical powers, and some evolved from the physique. After reaching the nascent soul stage, some Xuanji have outstanding comprehension, and will take the vision a step further, and evolve it into divine will. Vision is virtual, divine will is real. Vision can suppress the enemy, and interfere with the enemy's spirit. But divine will can interfere with matter in this life, and cause changes in celestial phenomena, which has great power. In the golden core stage and the nascent soul stage, the main focus is on accumulating mana, but in the transformation stage, the main focus is on the evolution and transformation of divine will. This time, King Lian's intention is mainly to use the double rest, with the purpose of tempering divine will. In fact, she also succeeded. I seem to despise the vision. Xuanji frowned slightly. At the moment of battle, Xuanji was more likely to activate the Great 5-element Yin and Yang Yuan Magnetic Starlight Universe Extinction Divine Sword of the perfect stage, relying on one sword to defeat the enemy, one sword to kill the enemy, and one sword to kill the enemy. Cheng Yaojin also needs to chop the enemy to death with 3 axes. If the 3 axes cannot kill the enemy, then he will choose to run away. Xuanji killed the enemy with 1 blow. If he couldn't kill the enemy, he would do it again. If he couldn't kill the enemy with 2 consecutive blows, he would choose to retreat strategically and not get too entangled with the enemy. In this combat mode, the vision is a bit useless. But, Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and the vision rose up. The sun rose, the world rolled, the yin and yang were born and died, the long sword broke through the sky, the Jiangshiji map, the Jianmu reached the sky, the endless night, the fish and dragons changed, the stars fell, the blue dragon fought the sky, the unicorn suppressed the sky, and 12 visions rose up, rising and falling, constantly changing and dying. There was also the world's divine will, and the withering and flourishing divine will, changing with each other. After counting his assets, he evolved 12 visions and 2 major divine wills. It seems very powerful, but it is just a facade. Big is not beautiful, more is not good. The confrontation between the strong is not a competition of weaknesses, but a competition of strengths. Take out your strongest unique skills and fight for a result. Only foolish people pursue to learn everything and master everything, but the result is that they are broad but not deep, too many but useless. There are 12 visions, too many but useless. It is better to discard them. Xuanji shook his head and activated the secret technique to immediately collapse many visions. In the name of creation, I will create 33 heavens and evolve 33 heavens visions. As if thinking of something, Xuanji activated his divine mind, and the collapsed visions were condensed, one heaven after another, and 33 heavens gathered together to become 33 heavens. The visions were rising, illusory and ethereal, as if they would break away at any time. Xuanji recalled his previous life, about the Taoist memory of 33 heavens, and his thoughts were rising in his heart, and the illusory visions became real. They were no longer illusory visions, but became more and more real. The first layer, Tehuang Huangzeng heaven. The second layer, Taming Yuan heaven. The third layer, King Ming Heteng heaven. The fourth heaven, Zuan Taping Gaia heaven. The fifth heaven, Yuan Ming Wenjia heaven. The sixth heaven, Kiao Moi heaven. These are the 6 heavens of the desire realm. The people of this world have intercourse, give birth to offspring, and live in the world of mortals. Chapter 482 Earth Soul Fruit. One heaven after another was derived, and they were combined with each other to evolve into 33 heavens. 33 heavens were changing, with gods walking, fairies dancing, war gods strolling, unicorns walking, golden crows spreading their wings, and soaring snakes walking. They were moving in all directions, and they looked quite extraordinary, like the fairyland high above. The structure was changing, and gradually becoming stable. Feeling the 33 heavens above his head, Xuan frowned. It felt flashy and beautiful, but it didn't fit him. It seemed to be much worse. Not enough, not enough, still a little worse, a little worse. This is not the way, that belongs to me, break it for me. Boom boom boom. 33 heavens collapsed, like a burst of fireworks. Recalling past experiences, they began to evolve step by step. The pure yang energy condensed together, and turned into the first heaven, the pure yang heaven. This was the beginning of the Tao and the evolution of his physique. Then, with the secret of the 9-colored divine sword, it was continuously dismembered and evolved into the 5-element heaven, yin and yang heaven, life and death heaven, time heaven, cosmic heaven, Yuanzi heaven, star heaven, bright heaven, nether heaven, extinction heaven, good and evil heaven, lust heaven, etc. About 12 layers. It was also comprehended the 3 disasters and 9 difficulties, and evolved into the heaven of tribulation wood, heaven of tribulation fire, heaven of tribulation thunder, heaven of tribulation wind, heaven of tribulation earth, heaven of tribulation gold, heaven of tribulation water, heaven of tribulation ice, heaven of tribulation blood, heaven of karma, heaven of cause and effect, heaven of tribulation luck, etc. It was also comprehended the 5 and 8 Te, and evolved into the heaven of Teishi, heaven of Tesu, heaven of Teiji, heaven of Teichu, heaven of Tesu, etc. About the last 3 layers of the 5 layers, namely the heaven of Sanking, heaven of chaos, and heaven of Daluo. The 33 layers of the world gathered together, superimposed on each other, and became a whole. It started with the pure yang heaven, and ended with the Daluo heaven. The 33 heavens were changing, constantly permuting and combining, constantly deriving and changing, rotating in birth and death, and gradually becoming stable. Boom boom boom. At this moment, Xuanji urged the 33 heavens to attack. The void was trembling, and the destructive attack power continued to rise, which was comparable to the attack of the incarnation. As this move was performed, the mana in Xuanji's body was exhausted, and he fell into a state of depression. It was powerful, but the loss was a bit large. It can be used as a trump card, but it is not a regular move. It's considered an entry, Xuanji said with a little joy. When he walked out of the cave, Xuanji suddenly felt that the calamity was surging outside. His figure flashed and looked outside. He saw that the calamity was surging in the void, and a group of purple mansion monks were attacking the golden elixir. Boom boom boom. With the condensation of the heavenly calamity, the calamity of destruction descended. At this moment, there were about 12 monks attacking the golden elixir, triggering endless calamities. The dark calamity clouds were surging, one after another, one after another. In the calamity clouds, there were thunder, fire, nightmare wind, and other calamities. It can be said that the attack was fierce. Under the bombardment of the catastrophe, many magical killing moves are surging, impacting the catastrophe. As for why the cultivators collectively transcend the catastrophe, it is because when collectively transcending the catastrophe will be reduced to a lower level. Boom boom boom. The heavenly tribulation is surging, but the heavenly tribulation lasts for a very short time. It only takes more than 10 minutes for the catastrophe to dissipate. Only the ashes of the catastrophe are scattered on the ground. 12 purple mansion peak cultivators all fell in the catastrophe. Woo woo woo. Seeing such a scene, their relatives cried, and the scene was somewhat sad. Please be patient, Lu Xuanji said as he watched this scene. Recently, because the Lu family has been exhausting resources and cultivating low-level cultivators, the number of low-level cultivators has been expanding. However, all this has not changed the difficult situation of giant improving the Dao. There are still many cultivators who died in the heavenly tribulation while impacting the catastrophe. Just like this time, the 12 purple mansion peak cultivators collectively transcended the tribulation to impact the Giandan realm, and all fell, which can be said to be a miserable ending. Such cases are not isolated cases, but many. His footsteps flashed, and he suddenly heard crying. Looking closely, he saw that a cultivator had passed away. His relatives were crying. Lu Xuanji looked at this scene and wanted to comfort them, but he found that he didn't know their names. Suddenly, he was quite embarrassed. Like a lion patrolling his territory, Lu Xuanji walked everywhere. The ancestral land of the Lu family is less than 100 square kilometers, but it has a population of more than 10 million, which is a bit crowded. Fortunately, this is a world of immortal cultivation, and these problems are easy to deal with. Walking in the territory, inspecting everything, I was very happy at the beginning, but gradually became boring. After walking around, I returned to the cave. At this time, I felt a surge of energy and burst out. Then, this breath converged and went away. But Lu Xuanji showed a happy look. Xia is out of retreat. His footsteps flashed, and he arrived in front of the cave. The door of the cave opened, and Xuanji appeared. The aura on his body fluctuated, but his momentum was already at the peak of the 9th level of the nascent soul. Congratulations, your cultivation has improved greatly, Lu Xuanji said. After 50 years of seclusion, your foundation has become more solid. You can receive the Earth Soul and have the hope of breaking through the 3rd level of the half-step transformation. Xuanji also said with joy, I feel that the laws of heaven and earth have become active. The upper limit of the world is increasing, and the difficulty of breaking through the transformation of the god has decreased a lot. This is really a good era. The spiritual energy is recovering faster, the world is recovering, and the upper limit of the world is increasing. There are also many more wars. Many monsters and old monsters have appeared one after another. Lu Xuanji sighed slightly. In the past, the death of a Yuanying Zhenjian was a big deal. But now there are so many Yuanying Zhenjians who have died that they are countless. Xuanji said, the situation is critical. Only by becoming stronger can we protect ourselves. In 10 years, I plan to receive the Earth Soul. The 3rd level is not safe. It is still too low. It is said that there is an Earth Soul fruit tree in the Dandayang sect. The Earth Soul fruit produced can increase the probability of receiving the Earth Soul. We can ask the Dandayang ancestor for it and pay homage to the doc by the way, Lu Xuanji said. Just by doing this, we will owe this ancestor a favor. Xuanji frowned. It's better to owe more favors. Lu Xuanji said, it's very dangerous to guide the Earth Soul, so don't be careless. As the saying goes, the higher the Tao, the higher the devil. The stronger the cultivation, the more solid the foundation, the greater the potential, the greater the probability of failure in guiding the Earth Soul. In history, there have been many geniuses who thought they were gifted and could guide the Earth Soul without external objects and achieve the half-step transformation of the Tao. However, they were soon slapped in the face and died miserably. On the contrary, some cultivators with average qualifications and average foundations, who were just ordinary geniuses, succeeded in guiding the Earth Soul. Chapter 483, First Meeting with Danliang Patriarch. In life, you can bet on anything, but not on your life. Because you only have one life, and once you lose it, you can never have another. Don't think that I'm a genius, I'm invincible, and I'm immortal. Many times, I can only say that I think too much. In the world of cultivation, there are too many geniuses who have died. Xuanji received the Earth Soul, but the chance of only 3 levels is still too low. The Earth Soul fruit is still needed to increase the probability. As for whether this will owe the Danliang ancestor a favor and be difficult to repay in the future, in Xuanji's view, these are all small problems. What is a connection? Frequent communication means having connections. Owe someone a favor and make someone feel indebted, so you have connections. Xuanji wanted to refuse, but looking at Xuanji's appearance, he could only nod and agree. Just like that, after telling the family that everything was fine, the two left. Hiding their tracks, the two left quietly. A moment later, they descended on the Danliang sect. Just approaching here, I felt that there was a terrifying formation in operation here, and there was a trace of destructive aura in operation, and it could enter the battle at any time. At this moment, Xuanji stopped and said, "Junior Xuanji, come to pay respect to the ancestor." When you reach the state of transformation, you can sense the secrets of the heaven under the induction of heaven and man. A moment later, the formation cracked, and Xuanji and Xuanji turned into a stream of light and entered the formation. At this time, the concentration of spiritual energy inside the Danliang sect was quite high, and there were many terrifying auras rising, as well as some familiar auras. Many cultivators took their positions, entered some spiritual caves, looked down at the positions of the formation nodes, entered a state of combat readiness, and were ready to fight at any time, and enter a bloody battle. Swish. At this moment, a beam of light surged, and the two did not resist. After the light flashed, the two disappeared. A moment later, they appeared in a cave. In the cave, a man in green was sitting upright. His face looked about 30 years old, a little old, with a trace of fatigue in his expression, and a pale face. He seemed to be in a bad mood, and seemed to be seriously injured. "Senior, how is your injury?" Xuanji said worriedly. "The demon race is very powerful. Not only me, but also several others are injured." The ancestor of the pill said, "I already know your purpose. I have a Earth Soul tree here. It only bears 3 fruits in 1,000 years. With the help of the 3 fruits, I refined 9 Earth Soul pills. Over the years, I have used some pills one after another, and finally there are 2 Earth Soul pills left. I can give you 1 each." "Thank you, ancestor," Xuanji said happily. After taking the Earth Soul pill, the probability of 2 levels can be increased. If Xuanji takes it, the success rate of receiving the Earth Soul will increase to 5 levels, which is already very high. "I give you the pill. What price are you willing to pay?" The ancestor of Danliang said, "There is no free lunch in the world. What treasures do you use to exchange?" "Ancestor, what do you need?" Xuanji said. In fact, he has some treasures that can be exchanged. For example, more than 1,000 top-grade spirit stones can definitely buy the Earth Soul pill. For example, the 10,000-year-old fruit is worth more than the Earth Soul pill. For example, some old medicines in the cave sky beads are more valuable. But he couldn't speak or say anything about these. In front of seniors, never show off how smart you are, or how rich you are. It's best to give the initiative to seniors, and give them an appearance of being at the mercy of others. In this way, seniors will be satisfied, happy, and will help juniors. Many things will be easy to solve. Those who know how to do things are often good at being human. When doing things, as long as you find the right method, it's easy to solve. Patriarch Danliang said, "After reaching the stage of transformation, there are very few treasures that are useful to me. For example, top-grade spirit stones are just stones on the roadside in my eyes, and 5th-grade spirit treasures are also of little use. But not long ago, our 5 great gods and the 7 gods of the demon race entered a secret realm. In that secret realm, we found some treasures. Those treasures are very important to us. It was precisely because of the fight for some treasures that the state of Chu was ambushed, and the current situation was caused. In that secret realm, some treasures are very useful to me. As long as you take them out, I will give you an Earth Soul pill. Xuanji nodded and said, why don't you go to that secret realm and take it yourself? Patriarch Danliang said, after the secret realm was discovered and experienced the battle of transformation, it became very fragile. If I enter that secret realm, it will completely collapse. Of course, I can also evolve an avatar at the peak of the nascent soul stage and go to that secret realm. But I gave up. It's because the search for treasures requires luck. If you have enough luck, the treasure may fall into your hands. If you have great luck, you may get a chance. Xuanji said, I don't know. What are you looking for, senior? If you can get the 6th grade enlightenment tea, I will give you an Earth Soul pill, said the Danliang Patriarch. Enlightenment tea is not a rare thing. Many immortal cultivation families grow enlightenment tea trees and harvest some tea every year. The Danliang sect also grows some enlightenment tea, but the number of high-grade tea is small. I don't know, how much enlightenment tea should I get to be qualified? Xuanji asked. Haha, Kit, your question really stumped me. The pill patriarch laughed and said, according to my calculations, there are enlightenment tea leaves in that secret realm, but I don't know how many there are. There may be 1 or 2 pieces, 1 or 2 teals, or more. It's just that, whether you can find it or not is still uncertain. There are too many uncertain factors. You can do it as you see fit. If there are fewer, I won't mind. If there are more, I won't mind. Thank you, Patriarch. Xuanji felt. This is the map of that secret realm. Many demon cultivators go there to look for opportunities. You must be careful and don't buy it. Patriarch Danliang said, waving his hand and throwing a jade slip. Xuanji opened the jade slip and there was the location of the secret realm in it. After putting away the jade slip and bidding farewell to Patriarch Danliang, Xuanji stood up and left. After leaving the Danliang sect, both of them breathed a sigh of relief. Xuanji said, facing the god of transformation, I feel very depressed, like a cat encountering a tiger. Me too. Xuanji said. The two smiled at each other and relieved the depression in their hearts. This Danliang ancestor is a good person. We are safe. Xuanji said. When there is no threat to the interests of the ancestors, many ancestors are kind and friendly. Xuanji said, if possible, I don't want to meet more powerful people in the state of transformation. Even if tigers don't eat people, no one wants to be with tigers. A nuclear bomb will not explode, but no one likes to dance on it. Chapter 484, Secret Realm of Bones. After talking for a while, the two left. The first purpose of meeting with the Danliang Patriarch this time was to obtain the Earth Soul Pill. The second purpose was to collect relevant data of the transformation of the spiritual cultivator. The biggest function of the mobile phone is to collect big data, analyze information, and deduce a perfect conclusion. At this time, the information of the Bloodbat Demon Venerable, Kingian, and the Danliang Patriarch has been collected in the mobile phone, and a certain understanding of the transformation of the spiritual cultivator has been obtained. The cultivation determines the pattern, and the circle determines the knowledge. Flipping through the information collected on the mobile phone, Xuanji suddenly sighed. At the time of the foundation building period, it felt that there were very few golden elixirs, and there were only 2 or 3 golden elixir cultivators in the Chu state. But when he reached the golden elixir realm, he found that there were all golden elixir cultivators around him, and the golden elixir cultivators seemed to be everywhere. When he reached the nascent soul realm, he found that the status of the golden elixir was plummeting, and it seemed that he would end up as cannon fodder. All of this gave him an illusion. Zifu is everywhere, and the golden elixir is worse than a dog. Only the nascent soul can shake it. However, all this is just an illusion. Because the circle is changing, the pattern is also changing, and the number of powerful people with knowledge is also very large. In fact, the difficulty of impacting the foundation is still huge, and many people died in the foundation disaster. The 12 disasters of the Purple Mansion also fell many cultivators. As for the impact of the golden elixir, the number of cultivators who died is still frightening. In the cave, Danliang Xianzhen coughed again. His pale face became even paler, his breath was sluggish, and the powerful aura on his body plummeted. The injury is getting worse. Forcing himself to endure it, Daniyang Xianzhen took out a pill and swallowed it, and his face looked much better. If you want to heal your injuries, you still need the 6th grade Nirvana pill. It's a pity that I'm also short of it, and can only rely on time to heal my injuries. At this time, Daniyang Xianzhen sighed slightly. True Lord Xiaoyu is indeed an outstanding genius, but True Lord Xuanji also has a deep foundation and great potential. This time, I hope they will succeed. Daniyang Xianzhen thought. The situation has been deteriorating recently, and King Lian has achieved enlightenment and transformed into a god, relieving some of their pressure. But it was still not enough. Daniyang Xianzhen, Houta Xianzhen, Dongji Xianzhen, Shengmeng Xianzhen, etc. all took out some treasures to cultivate their descendants, hoping to have more half-step transformation gods, or even transformation gods, so as to relieve their pressure. Recently, a lot of investment has been made. Unfortunately, it is difficult to prove the way to transformation gods, and many Xianjiao are stuck at certain levels. As for Xiaoyu's engine, he is also one of their key focus objects and a key training target. This time, no matter what the harvest of Xiaoyu's engine and Xuanji's engine is, he will give them the Earth Soul Pill. The two disappeared in the flash of the void, heading to the northwest of Chu. Chu is vast and sparsely populated, with many uninhabited areas. It looks desolate and deserted. After walking for 3 days, the two stopped in front of a mountain. In the mountains ahead, there is a void gate. Outside the void gate, there is a formation to cover the traces, and most cultivators cannot detect it. Only when you reach the nascent soul realm can you sense the existence of the space gate, and feel the danger in it. Is this the White Bone secret realm? Lu Xuanji pondered, thinking of some information recorded on the jade slip. In ancient times, the exact time is no longer certain. The East Wasteland was once the White Bone Demon Sect's dojo, where there are many inheritances. But later, it was besieged by many powerful enemies and the White Bone Demon Sect went to destruction, and only a few secret realms were preserved. According to the records on the jade slip, this secret realm was opened up by a great master of the White Bone Demon Sect, and there are many treasures, elixirs, exercises, etc. Not long ago, the human race's incarnation and the demon race's incarnation fought for a long time, and each took away some treasures. There are also some treasures left in the secret realm. However, after the war, the secret realm was broken, and the incarnation cultivators could not enter it. Only the nascent soul cultivators could enter it. The nascent soul of the human race, the nascent soul of the demon race, etc. entered it one after another to look for opportunities, and also hunted each other. The fierce battle between the two sides was very tragic. With flashing footsteps, the two entered the secret realm. Just after entering the secret realm, I felt the void trembling, and the overwhelming magic attacks came. The golden flames swept over, and the void was also imprisoned. Lu Xuanji felt something was wrong, and immediately activated the lonely boat and cooking straw hat picture. Suddenly, the picture scroll was surging, and the huge black hole absorbed all the flames. But the golden flames entered the picture scroll, and the picture scroll was immediately scorched. This already broken 6th grade spiritual treasure was scorching hot. At this moment, the void was flashing, and a big bell fell from the sky. Lu Xuanji pulled out the pure yang broken sword and fought back. Dang dang. The two sides collided with each other, flames were splashing, and there was a destructive force impacting. The enemy on the opposite side was a blonde man wearing a golden robe, with a domineering aura, and golden flames surrounding his body. He held a big bell in his hand, as if to suppress everything. Lu Xuanji's eyes shrank, and he immediately understood his background. This is a golden crow demon, whose cultivation is already the 9th level of the nascent soul. Kill. At this moment, Lu Xuanji injected pure yang energy into the broken sword of pure yang. Suddenly, this broken sword, which was only 2 feet long, continued to expand and grow, becoming 10 feet long, and slashed down. The golden crow demon urged the big bell claw machine to go. Bang bang. The magic weapons were colliding, sparks were surging in the void, and destruction continued. At this moment, Jinzi also urged the double swords, and the black and white sword stabbed out. The black sword dominated death, and the white sword dominated life and death cycle. Stabbed at the neck of the golden crow demon. The golden crow demon opened his mouth and spit out flames, and the golden sunfire swept over and burned everything. Sizzle. The double swords became hot and red. At this moment, the two yin and yang were changing, and the sunfire was suppressed. Xuanji took a step forward, combined his two fingers into one, and killed. The sword turned into a finger, and stabbed at the center of his eyebrows. The body of the golden crow demon was flashing, and the rainbow light under his feet was changing. In a split second, he avoided the joint attack of the two. Xuanji and Xuanji looked at each other, and stepped forward in tacit understanding, attacking from the left and the right. The pure yang sword energy, the strongest and the most yang, was like the bright sun, suppressing it. The black and white sword energy, life and death, turned into a sword wheel and came. The golden crow demon roared and activated the big bell. The bell sounded, turning into a wave of destruction to suppress it. It also activated the sun's true fire, and the flames swept and burned everything. The means were domineering and tyrannical. However, in the battle, he soon fell behind. He only held on for a moment, and was pierced by the sword energy, looking a little embarrassed. I will come back. The golden crow demon snorted coldly, activating the rainbow transformation technique, and disappeared. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji slashed into the void. Ah! Screams were heard, but the golden crow demon also disappeared. Chapter 485, 33 Days Vision. The golden crow monster escaped. The 9th level of the nascent soul monster has a very strong fighting power and a first class ability to save his life. It is very easy to defeat him, but it is very difficult to kill him. Let's go, Xuanji said. Xuanji nodded. The two of them disappeared hand in hand. At this moment, Xuanji put part of his mind on the phone. The phone was running, and the 100 maps appeared again. A panoramic map of the secret realm appeared on the map, with mountains, rivers, plains, valleys, hills, etc., as well as some ruins, towns, etc. all appeared. The picture was very clear. At this time, Destiny Deduction started again to collect and analyze data. Many news about the secret realm appeared one after another. This secret realm has an area of 5,000 square kilometers. The overall appearance is round and square, like an upside down bowl. When this secret realm was built, the surrounding space was extremely solid, and there was a formation on it, which had a suppressive effect on the cultivation of the cultivators. In the secret realm, the foundation building cultivators would be so weak that they would be out of breath after walking a few steps. The purple mansion cultivators and the golden elixir cultivators also lost the ability to fly, and could only walk. Only the nascent soul cultivators could rely on their powerful cultivation to fly in the air, but the speed was much slower. Not only that, the divine thoughts and the perception of the soul were suppressed here. The nascent soul cultivators could only detect a radius of 1 kilometer, and it would be a little blurry when they were farther away. The combat effectiveness of the nascent soul cultivators was also severely suppressed. In the outside world, the nascent soul cultivators were human nuclear bombs, urging spells to bombard them, which could directly collapse mountains of dozens of miles, directly divert rivers to become barrier lakes, and directly cause lakes of 7 or 8 kilometers to appear on the plains. But here, the spells of the nascent soul cultivators were suppressed, and their power dropped a lot. Not only that, the spiritual energy here was almost zero. After the cultivators' mana was exhausted, they could not draw spiritual energy from the void to make up for their own losses, and could only absorb the spiritual energy from the spirit stones to make up for their own losses. If it was just like this, it would be fine. Here, there are some broken array patterns, some void cracks, etc., which have great lethality. The reason why Bidao Xianzhen fell was that he accidentally hit a broken array pattern somewhere, and then was directly crushed by the array pattern, and turned into ashes, which was extremely miserable. With the help of Beidou maps, the two walked everywhere. Along the way, they avoided the broken array patterns and void cracks they encountered in advance. As they walked, they soon arrived at a relic. This time, the ruins, the periphery of this relic, was guarded by a broken array. The array was running, the grey light was flashing, and the array patterns were running one after another, like surging waves, spreading to the periphery one after another. Boom boom boom. At this moment, there are 5 demon clan Yuanings bombarding here together. The array is shaking, seemingly broken, but it is also a strong defense. 8 desolate Kangmang array. Xuanji looked at this array and was slightly surprised. This array is quite famous in the East Desert. If it was at its peak, not to mention the 5 nascent soul cultivators, even the divine transformation cultivators would not be able to break through it. But after a long time, under the erosion of time, the formation was broken, and its power was constantly declining. Even 5 nascent soul cultivators could break through it. Zia, you set up the formation on the periphery, and I will attack. Xuanji said. Got it. Xuanji nodded. At this moment, Xuanji took action, and 18 formation flags flew out and quickly entered certain nodes. He activated the formation plate again, and suddenly the golden light flashed, like an inverted bowl, directly trapping the 5 nascent soul monsters. One after another, the top grade spirit stones entered the formation, and the formation was quickly activated and entered its peak state. Not good. We were ambushed. This is a quasi 6th grade formation master. Kill them. The 5 nascent soul monsters felt panic and anger, and they all activated spells to attack. At this moment, Xuanji controlled the formation, and the power of the formation was increasing. It's just that the time for the arrangement was too short, and just one impact was enough to check these collapses. Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and he entered the formation. On his palm, the 9-colored divine sword appeared, and the energy of destruction was condensing, turning into a ray of light and slashing out. It slashed on the body of the Yuanying great monster, and it was immediately cut in two with one knife. Only the Yuanying escaped, and was about to escape, but it was intercepted by the formation, and could not escape. Swish. At this moment, the remaining 4 Yuanying great monsters joined forces to attack. Xuanji urged the 9-colored divine sword to slash and kill, and the sword light was like snow. The 5 immortal divine rings on his body rose up and turned into a solid defense, and he urged the dragonfly divine form to move quickly. The pure yang true fire burned away, steaming the sky and boiling the sea. The 4 Yuanyings were also unambiguous, and they all launched killing moves to attack. They all changed into their original bodies, and their combat effectiveness soared rapidly. A big demon transformed into Kunpeng, spread its wings, evolved to the extreme speed. The speed was extremely fast, turned into the extreme killing attack. The wings were like long swords, slashing and killing. The void came with a buzzing sound. The attack was fierce. A big demon transformed into a peacock, spread its tail feathers, and controlled the 5 element of divine light to absorb it. Wherever the light went, there was fierce killing, and the tide of destruction. A big demon transformed into a golden crow, burning the sun's true fire on its body, and controlling the chaos bell on its head. The bell sounded continuously, and the flame burned everything. A big demon transformed into a black dragon. After urging its body, darkness enveloped it, and the endless darkness annihilated everything, and blinded the monk's perception. 4 big demons attacked and killed continuously, and their killing moves were fierce. Xuanji urged the long sword, fighting vertically and horizontally, and the sword broke the sky. The 2 sides fought fiercely, and there was no winner after hundreds of moves. 33 days of suppression. At this moment, Xuanji activated the vision, and suddenly the shadow of the 33 days of the world appeared behind him. Although it was just a shadow, it was extremely majestic. It suppressed the void, like a meteor hitting the ground. Kunpeng fought, but turned into blood mist on the spot. Peacock activated the 5-color divine light, but turned into meat paste on the spot. Jinwu fought, but was powerless to save the situation. The black dragon cried, but was heading for destruction. Bang bang. Under the suppression of the 33 days of vision, it was like a hammer hitting an egg. Their bodies collapsed one after another, and even the so-called indestructible nascent soul was heading for collapse and completely destroyed. Whoosh. At this moment, the 33 days of vision dissipated. Xuanji panted slightly, and his mana was exhausted. He took out the spirit stone to make up for the loss, and absorbed 10 pieces in a row before his mana returned to its peak. The battle was finally over. Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Xuanji also withdrew the formation. In this battle, Xuanji killed the 5 Yuanyings, which was a great achievement. But Xuanji, a quasi 6th grade array master, also played a huge role. She activated the array to block their escape and cut off their last chance of survival. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486 Dungeon, Fox Clan Heritage. After the battle, the two began to collect the spoils. Killing people and seizing treasures is indeed the most profitable means, no doubt about it. Counting the storage bags, there are spiritual medicines, spiritual pills, spiritual stones, spiritual treasures, etc., which can be said to be numerous and rich in property. Then, it is time to collect the corpses of the Yuanying monsters and the scattered Yuanying key. The corpses of monsters can be used to refine blood pills, which can nourish the body of the monks. The Yuanying key can also be collected to refine Yuanying pills. Everything is beautiful. The only bad thing is that I used too much force just now and directly blew up the Yuanying. This battle also witnessed the terribleness of the 33 days of vision. After the monks condensed the Yuanying took on an immortal form and had the attributes of immortality and indestructibility. It is very difficult to kill it. If it is a critical moment, the Yuanying will disperse countless air currents and escape. As long as a trace of air escapes, this Yuanying monk can turn the catastrophe and be reborn. Therefore, if you want to kill a nascent soul cultivator, you must first kill his physical body and then activate the magic weapon to trap his nascent soul, to prevent it from dispersing into airflow and escaping. Then, put it in the alchemy furnace and use the true fire to refine it. But just now, he activated the 33 days of anomalies and directly suppressed it. Not only did he blow up the demon's physical body, but he also directly crushed the demon's nascent soul, killing the will in it, and directly turning it into the nascent soul's key. Because it was the first time to use it, the rhythm was not controlled well, resulting in a large loss of some nascent soul's key, and the loss was quite large. After counting the spoils, the two began to attack this formation. Xuanji is a quasi 6th grade formation master. He looked for the nodes and flaws of the formation, and then began to attack fiercely. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by a violent noise, the formation broke after an hour. The two entered it. This is a sacred mountain with a cave in it. A careful inspection of the ruins here turned out to be a cave of a god. But when he counted the items inside, he found very little. He only found 100 pieces of top grade spirit stones, but nothing else. After leaving here, under the guidance of the 100 maps, Xuanji began to walk around and hunt the demon clan Yuanying everywhere. During the hunting process, Xuanji arranged the formation to encircle the enemy and cut off the enemy's escape route. The more Yuanying cultivators he killed here, the safer the human race outside would be. During the hunting process, the 100 maps let him know the strength of the demon clan Yuanying, so he would not rashly encounter tough ones. He could also accurately locate and attack quickly without wasting too much time. The efficiency of hunting the demon clan was very high. In just 3 days, 20 Yuanying died in his hands. However, as the hunting continued, it was impossible to continue hunting the Yuanying big monsters. The remaining Yuanying big monsters were either too powerful for him to bite, or they gathered in groups and he could not beat them. Looking at the situation on the 100 maps, Xuanji could only choose to give up temporarily. The enlightenment tea tree may be in a medicine garden somewhere. Let's go and look for it, Xuanji said. Okay. Xuanji nodded and began his search. The target was a place that seemed to be a medicine garden, but when he went in to look, most of them were empty, as if a cultivator had been there before. He searched for more than 10 times in a row, but he couldn't find it. Maybe it fell into the hands of a cultivator. I'm not going to get the earth soul pill anymore, Xuanji said. Unlucky, I can only try my best. A little disappointed, but it didn't affect much. It would be best to have the earth soul pill, which could increase the probability. But without the earth soul pill, it wouldn't affect much. If there is no earth soul pill, can we not guide the earth soul? It's impossible and unrealistic. Go if you have the conditions, and go if you don't have the conditions. This is also expected. Xuanji said, even when the Danliang Patriarch sent us into the White Bone secret realm, he was just trying to get by. If we can find the 6th grade enlightenment tea, it would be the best, but if we can't, it's reasonable. We can buy it on credit first. Xuanji said, at this point, this is the only way. Next, where should we go? Wait a minute. Xuanji pondered. According to the intelligence, there are 3 places where fierce battles are taking place, and the 2 sides are fighting fiercely. You tell me where to go. As he spoke, he began to draw pictures on the ground, talking about the disputes in the 3 places and some related information. Why not go to the Heritage Hall? Xuanji said. Okay. Xuanji nodded. The dungeon forbidden area. The ripples of destruction continued, and the fighting continued. The human cultivators and the demon cultivators fought together, and the moment they met was when they entered a bloody battle, without any affection. The 2 sides fought fiercely. At this moment, the battle began to decide the winner. A beam of white light hit the human cultivator, and the cultivator's body was destroyed on the spot, leaving only the panicked nascent soul to flee. Another flying sword stabbed out, and another human body was broken. The nascent soul flew out, and was about to escape, but was imprisoned and taken away directly. The battle was over. 3 human nascent soul cultivators died, and the demon woman was also breathing slightly. She had pink skin, jade-like feet, and wore a light blue dress. Her body was tall and beautiful, and her whole body exuded softness. Her eyes were like stars, like a woman made of water. Behind her, there were 6 tails shaking, and it was a 6-tailed demon fox. This demon cultivator was Balinger. She had a strong breath, and was already half a step into the spirit. After killing 3 nascent soul peak strongmen, she was also a little tired. After resting for a while, Balinger got up, and walked towards the depths of the dungeon. Along the way, many arrays were activated, and the array patterns strangled, and turned into flames, ice, divine thunder, sword energy, etc., sweeping over. Such an attack was extremely fierce, and even the peak of the nascent soul was difficult to resist. Balinger walked along the way, constantly breaking through, and was hit several times in the middle, suffering a little injury. After half a day, she finally reached the depths of the dungeon. In the depths of the dungeon, many chains were crisscrossed, and a woman in white was tied in the middle. The woman in white had a beautiful face, and she was so beautiful that she exuded a faint charm, like a jar of fine wine, and just a sip would make people intoxicated. Behind her, there were 7 tails. But at this moment, the woman in white had no breath on her body, and her body was cold. She had been sitting for an unknown period of time. It is rumored that an ancestor of the Kinkyu lineage was imprisoned deep in the dungeon, and was executed before the catastrophe came. Balinger stepped forward and said, I'm here to ask the senior to grant me the inheritance. As she spoke, she knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times. Suddenly, the body of the woman in white shattered like glass, and turned into powder. A drop of pink blood flew out, and landed on Balinger's forehead. Chapter 487 Demonic Key, 8 Desolate Magic Power. Pink blood flashed and entered the center of the eyebrows. It quickly merged into the body, and began to transform violently. The body turned pink, and a light mist rose up, and surrounded the body. Severe pain came, as if thousands of ants were biting the body. But it seemed that the pain was extreme, and pink flames burned on the body, constantly burning cruelly from the inside out. Under the scorching of the flames, the body quickly became charred like charcoal. At this moment, the vitality of the drop of blood surged out, repairing the severely injured body, and all the injuries on the body were healed in an instant. The power of life and death rotated, constantly transforming the body in the essence of life. The drop of blood gradually melted, and began to merge into its life source. Accompanied by violent screams, a tail grew behind Balinger. The tail was swaying and changing, and it derived new magical powers. Whoosh! Balinger panted slightly, sweating all over, and opened his eyes after a long time, with a flash of joy in his eyes. The bloodline level has been upgraded to a higher level. With the upgrade of bloodline, the shackles of cultivation have also dissipated. There is no bottleneck in the impact of the transformation of the spirit, and it only takes a certain amount of time to accumulate. This magical power is heavenly heart sensing. Balinger said happily. After awakening this bloodline magical power, she has a keen sense of the heavenly heart and can sense the operation of the heavenly Dao and the changes of the heavenly heart. It is of great benefit for predicting the secrets of the heaven and sensing crisis. At present, she has mastered 7 magical powers, namely, charm, teleportation, death substitution, doppelganger, disguise, peek into the future, and heavenly heart sensing. These 7 magical powers all have a low starting point, but the upper limit is very high. Even after becoming an immortal, these magical powers are not outdated. In the Heritage Hall, there are some opportunities for me. At this moment, Baelinger activated her magical power, but she sensed that there was an opportunity for herself in a certain direction. Leave the heavenly prison, and go to the Heritage Hall. The void was changing, and a huge hall appeared in front of him. The hall was majestic and huge, as big as a mountain. There were eerie bones carved on the gate several thousand feet in front of him, and there were many demons. Some demons stepped on the bone bridge, some demons drove the bone magic sword, some demons had a bone magic wheel on their heads, and some demons had a bone magic banner. The hall seemed to be made of countless bones, like a mountain of bones, evolving. Human bones, blue dragon bones, phoenix bones, basalt bones, unicorn bones, giant bones, earth demon bones, etc. Many bones were crisscrossed and built. Many bones were unknown. Looking at the bone hall, Xuanji was in a trance. This secret realm was called the Bone Secret Realm. How could there be no bones? With flashing steps, Xuanji entered the hall. When he entered the hall, he felt weightless. Time and space were changing. His 6 senses were blinded, and he fell into darkness. When he opened his eyes again, he found that Xuanji had disappeared. Just when they entered the inheritance hall, the two were separated. After hesitating for a moment, Xuanji continued to move forward. At this time, many monks also entered the White Bone Palace. It seemed that there was an inexplicable attraction. Many monks subconsciously gathered towards the White Bone Palace, looking for opportunities in the dark. Walking forward, Xuanji observed the situation around him carefully. At the same time, his mind moved, and he felt that there was a strong spiritual energy here. The spiritual energy was quite rich, and the concentration of spiritual energy exceeded that of the Lu family, and even the Danliang school was inferior. It's just that the spiritual energy here is quite strange, with special factors in it. After absorbing a few mouthfuls, Xuanji stopped. Mobile phone check. Xuanji activated his mobile phone and began to scan and collect relevant information. It feels that the spiritual energy contains calamity, karma, disaster, etc. After absorbing it, one's own luck will decline, and the number of disasters will increase, which is extremely unfavorable for the monks to practice. But at the same time, under the stimulation of the dark karma, the speed of practice will be much faster. This kind of spiritual energy with negative attributes is also called demonic energy. In ancient times, there were supreme demon cultivators who felt that the speed of cultivation was too slow, so they transformed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into demon energy. When a demon cultivator absorbs demon energy to cultivate, the speed will be very fast. As the saying goes, the higher the Tao, the higher the demon. It takes tens of thousands of years for the same generation of cultivators to cultivate to become immortals. But when absorbing demon energy, it only takes 1,000 years, or even shorter. Xuanji activated the skills, and the demon energy around him entered his body. As the demon energy entered his body, he felt a burst of pain, and his body was somewhat uncomfortable. At this moment, karma, disasters, etc. rushed in one after another. Resentment, despair, destruction, killing, darkness, death, etc. Negative emotions surged into the depths of his heart, and it seemed that they would soon pollute his soul. At this moment, Xuanji activated his soul and entered into visualization. His soul turned into a golden sun, suppressing everything. Endless demon energy was refined. In the process of refining demon energy, his mind was tempered, his soul was tempered, and his spirit was improved. His cultivation was improving rapidly. In just half a day, his cultivation had improved by a large margin. Half a day of hard work was better than the past 10 days of hard work. After half a day, Xuanji could only stop practicing and stop absorbing the devil energy. because at this moment, he was restless, full of distracting thoughts. All kinds of desires were boiling, all kinds of thoughts were fluctuating, and even the pure yang true fire could not be driven away. Not only that, the pure yang true fire was also polluted, and black textures appeared. If it was not handled properly in the following days, the pure yang true fire would be completely polluted, and turned into the pure yang devil fire. Absorbing devil energy and practicing magic skills is really fast, but it is a little dangerous. Xuanji took a deep breath. Sensing the changes in the devil energy and the improvement of his cultivation, a trace of fear flashed across his face. After refining the devil energy, the speed of cultivation increased significantly. But the disadvantage is that under the erosion of the devil energy, the soul is easily polluted and becomes possessed by the devil. Among 100 cultivators, 99 cultivators are finished, and the remaining one is a demon. Even if he activated the secret technique to suppress the negative factors in the demonic energy and prevent it from eroding, his soul was still affected by it and was prone to extremes. With flashing steps, Xuanji stepped forward. The demonic energy in front of him became more and more dense, but he suppressed the urge to absorb it and close the acupoints. He advanced about 100 miles and entered the same path. On both sides of the same path, there were carved statues with different expressions and sizes. Some were majestic and magnificent, some were small and exquisite, with a sense of weirdness. Some were mysterious and unpredictable. Statues were arranged on both sides one after another. Xuanji's steps became slow, and after carefully comprehending for a moment, he comprehended a set of magic skills from the statues. 8 desolate magic skills. Chapter 488, Golden Lotus, Divine Wind Master. This set of magic skills is aimed at the transformation of the spirit. It is very powerful, and can be cultivated very quickly. When cultivated to the extreme, it can evolve into the 8 desolate demon form. The requirements for qualifications and understanding are very low. 90% of the cultivators can comprehend the entry, and then enter the small success, or even the great success. The disadvantage is that it requires a very high state of mind to suppress the inner demon. If the state of mind is not enough, it is easy to go crazy and die. Follow the passage, continue to move forward, and gradually walk out of the passage. I saw a clear lake appeared in front of me. There were more than a dozen golden lotuses in the lake. They were beautiful. Just a glance was calming. Swish. Xuanji stepped forward and picked a golden lotus. Observing carefully, trying to see its essence, he found that he didn't recognize it at all. The mobile phone was deducing and analyzing the data. Golden Lotus, name unknown, effect. After taking it, it can temper the soul. The effect is unknown. Xuanji opened his mouth and began to swallow the Golden Lotus. After refining the Golden Lotus, he suddenly felt like he was floating in the air, as if he were a fairy. His whole body was extremely comfortable, and his soul seemed to have been baptized. About 10 minutes later, Xuanji opened his eyes. He felt his soul become clear. The soul that was originally polluted by the devilish energy was now completely dissipated. He activated the pure yang true fire again, and the black texture inside disappeared. The flame turned into platinum, bright and dazzling. The golden lotus can restrain the devilish energy and purify the soul, Xuanji said with a little joy. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji wanted to pick the second golden lotus, but a repulsive force came from the lake. Puff. His palm was bounced away. Xuanji was unwilling to give up and continued to activate various magical powers, trying to break the confinement and pick the golden lotus. But the defense on it became more and more powerful, and it became stronger when it met a strong opponent. After a long time of tossing, it was unsuccessful. This is the only trick I can use. At this moment, Xuanji activated the yin and yang key. The 5-element condensed, the yuan magnetic force gathered, the starlight condensed, the power of time and space surged, the extinction force recovered, and finally condensed into a 9-color divine sword. The power is constantly rising, and it is infinitely close to the level of transformation. Not enough. Xuanji activated the 33 heavenly phenomena, and the phenomena were immediately added to the 9-color divine sword. The divine sword was changing, and 33 gods appeared on it, with different expressions and extraordinary power. The power of the divine sword was increased again, breaking the limit and entering the realm of transformation. Not enough. Xuanji activated the red dust divine will again, and the divine will was added to it. The original 9-color divine sword was changing and turned into a green longsword. The aura was no longer aggressive, and there was no sense of oppression. All the powerful auras were all restrained. Return to the original simplicity and become ordinary. Buzz buzz buzz. At this moment, Xuanji activated the longsword to kill. The green longsword slashed on it, and the ripples were rippling, making a hissing sound. At this moment, accompanied by a crisp sound, the shield broke. Finally broken. Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief, and his body was slightly exhausted. The sword slashed out, consuming 7 layers of strength in his body. This sword was a little weak. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji urged his magic power and evolved into the 5 element of the big capture. The 5-color palm captured and directly took this lake with an area of about 1000 square meters into the cave bead. Boom. At this moment, the lake was shaking. Xuanji felt a little bit of effort, and the lake was very heavy, but he gritted his teeth and held some top-grade spirit stones in his left hand. One by one, the spirit stones exploded, and a large amount of spiritual energy entered the Danshan and transformed into mana. The power of his right hand was increasing, and the ground was shaking violently. At this moment, accompanied by a loud noise, the lake and the nearby soil were pulled up one after another and thrown into the Danshan Pearl. It was safe in the bag. Xuanji also breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, a flying sword stabbed out, invisible and extremely fast. Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and he urged the dragonfly divine form to move quickly. The energy evolved from the magic power resisted, but the flying sword pierced through the magic power and flashed quickly in the void, leaving a blood mark. A bloody wound appeared on Xuanji's left arm. Looking intently, it was a human cultivator who attacked, and it was the Yuanying of the Danliang school, named Shen Feng's engine. This was a great cultivator of the 9th level of the Yuanying, and he was only half a step away from touching the realm of the god of transformation. The great handprint of annihilation. Shen Feng's engine attacked and killed, and his right hand evolved into a black big handprint, which turned into a 10-foot sized town and suppressed it. 9-color divine sword. At this moment, Xuanji activated his magical power and was about to transform it into a killing move to attack, but he found that his body was a little exhausted. Just now, he consumed too much mana to break through the shield. Until now, he has not recovered to the peak moment, and his body is a little weak. He only condensed halfway, but because of insufficient mana, it collapsed halfway. Boom boom boom. The annihilation handprint attacked, and Xuanji could only dodge by escaping. 10,000 swords fired at once. Shen Feng's engine activated the sword intent, and sword energy condensed in the void, like rain, bombarding and killing, densely packed, annihilating everything. Swish. Block everything, destroy everything. No matter how fast the escape technique is, it is useless. There is limited space to dodge here, so he can only resist. 24 treasures, attack. At this moment, Xuanji's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness, and the Kyankan Gurt opened its mouth, and 23 magic weapons appeared, combined with each other, turning into a whole, resisting in front. Ding ding dang dang. Sword keys came one after another, but most of them were absorbed by the 24 magic weapons. Kill. Xuanji's footsteps flashed, and he activated the 24 magic weapons to attack. The magic weapons attacked one after another. The 24 magic weapons were connected to each other and became a whole. It seemed that the 24 pieces were activated together, but it was only equivalent to the loss of activating one magic weapon. Boom boom boom. The magic weapons went into a frenzy and attacked. Shen Feng's engine activated the sword key to attack, but the sword key was defeated. He activated the shield again to resist. The shield held for a moment, and then collapsed on the spot. Finally, he activated the armor, and the armor formed a 3-foot thick aura, but it was also pierced in an instant. No. Shen Feng's engine said in horror. Boom boom boom. The magic weapons bombarded the body, and the body was immediately beaten into a pulp. The Yuanying flew out, and was about to escape. But the Kyankan Gurt opened its mouth, and the nascent soul of the Divine Wind Master was absorbed into the Gurt and sealed. the battle is over. Xuanji took out the top grade spirit stone and continued to refine it. About 10 minutes later, the lost mana was completely restored to its peak state. Dao, spare my life. At this moment, the voice of the Divine Wind Master begging for mercy came from the good. Dao, you have no martial ethics and sneak attacked me, so don't blame me for being ruthless. Xuanji said coldly, urging the pure Yang True Fire to start refining and killing this master. No mercy when you attack, no mercy when you show mercy. Chapter 489 Son of the Heavenly Lord. Whoosh. Pure Yang fire burned. The white gold flame swept over. The flame runes on it became clearer and clearer, refining the nascent soul of God Wind Master. Kai. God Wind Master's nascent soul was burned and screamed. Xuanji urged the pure Yang fire to continue refining. God Wind Master felt the danger and immediately urged the magic formula, and suddenly an immortal divine ring rose around the nascent soul to resist the burning of the pure Yang fire. Kai. A violent sound came, and the two were offsetting each other. Xuanji increased the firepower and continued to burn, but the white gold flame continued, but for a while, it was difficult to make a major breakthrough, and fell into a stalemate. Trouble, some trouble. Xuanji frowned slightly. When a cultivator reaches a nascent soul realm, he will condense the nascent soul in his body. The nascent soul is the foundation. The nascent soul contains immortal ki. The higher the realm and the stronger the cultivation, the greater the amount of immortal ki. The reason why the nascent soul is difficult to kill is because it is protected by the nascent soul ki. The nascent soul is indestructible before the immortal ki is exhausted. Therefore, if you want to kill a nascent soul cultivator, you must constantly put it into the furnace and burn it with true fire to wear down its immortal ki. When the immortal ki in the body of the nascent soul cultivator is exhausted, it is the moment when the nascent soul cultivator falls. However, the true Lord of Divine Wind is not an ordinary nascent soul cultivator, but a nascent soul 9th level cultivator. Standing at the peak of all living beings, he is already qualified to attract the earth soul and enter the half-step transformation into a god. The nascent soul ki in his body is so strong that it can destroy the world. Dao, you better let me go. At this time, Shen Feng's engine said, you should understand that I'm already at the 9th level of the nascent soul, and the immortal energy in my body is strong. Even if Dao activates the pure Yang True Fire to refine it, it will take at least 3 days to exhaust the immortal energy in my body and kill me. But my good friend has already arrived halfway, and it will take at most an hour. Dao, I just recognized the wrong person. I mistook him for a demon cultivator and never thought that the attack went wrong. I'm willing to apologize to Dao. Now the demon power is huge and our human race is in a crisis. Our human race should unite and fight against the demons together. How can we fight among ourselves? Dao Shen Feng's engine said. His words were soft and hard. Soft and hard. Xuanji frowned slightly and a hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. As for recognizing the wrong person, no one would believe it. Opening Baidu map, he was about to explore, but found that it was blurry. Baidu maps could not explore many areas. It would take at least 3 days to refine and kill the nascent soul of the Divine Wind Master. In such a long time, there must be a strong human being who came to persuade them to stop fighting. At that time, if he was forced to let him go, he would leave a strong enemy for himself in the future and bring enemies to the Lu family. As for forgetting the grudges with a smile, it was impossible, but if he stubbornly refused to let him go, he would be seen as ungrateful and without a sense of the overall situation, and he would be isolated among the human race. No matter which choice he made, it would be a disaster. Dao, you are smart, but it's a pity that it's useless. Xuanji directly took back the pure Yang True Fire and sneered. Dao, do you think I can't refine and kill you? 33 days of strange phenomena, suppress. At this moment, a trace of cruelty flashed in Xuanji's eyes, and strange phenomena appeared in the void. 33 layers of the world, one layer inside another, like a loft. In each layer of the world, there is a god suppressing, and the appearance of the god is similar to itself. Each layer evolved into a disaster, turned into a terrifying wave, and suppressed it. What is this? Impossible. Spare me. No, no. The struggle continued, the wailing continued, but nothing could change anything. With a violent noise, the 33 days of strange phenomena suppressed it. With just one blow, the yuaning of the God Wind Master became sluggish, and 3 layers of immortality were wiped out. Boom boom boom. The 33 days of strange phenomena were activated, and they were suppressed one after another. Because the consumption of activating the strange phenomena was too great, after each attack of the strange phenomena, it was necessary to rest for a while, to recover to the peak moment. But even so, it was only 4 rounds of continuous bombardment. The yuaning of the God Wind Master just let out a scream, and then the immortality was completely wiped out, and went to perish. Dust to dust, earth to earth, everything dissipated. From now on, our grievances are over, Xuanji said calmly. His footsteps flashed, and he left here. Just a moment after leaving, a tall and majestic man appeared in the void. He was tall and straight, looking quite burly and strong, with palms like cattail leaf fans, and a strong and powerful aura, like a mountain. His eyes were like copper bells, with slightly dark skin, and his footsteps made a slight vibration sound when he stepped on the ground. If there were any cultivators here, they would definitely be able to recognize his identity. It was Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable, one of the 5 great incarnation gods of Chu State, and also one of the old-fashioned incarnation gods. After the war, this secret realm was no longer accessible to the incarnation gods. At this moment, it happened to be a clone of Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable who entered the secret realm. This clone, whose cultivation level was only the 9th level of the nascent soul, met the requirements of the secret realm. This clone was only a few levels of the nascent soul, but relying on the combat experience of the incarnation god and the blessing of the divine will, he was almost invincible below the incarnation god. Of course, such invincibility was meaningless at many times, and it was more of a case of the big bullying the small. My son is dead. Who is it? A trace of murderous intent flashed in Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable's eyes. My son died very thoroughly, not even a trace of residual soul was left, and even the calamity could not be turned. Who is it? It's only less than half an hour and I can't rescue him in time. The murderous intent was boiling, as if to annihilate everything. His son had many shortcomings. He was greedy and short-sighted, arrogant, and ignorant. However, no matter how many shortcomings he had, he was still his own son. The blood connection that connected the tendons with broken bones could never be broken. But now, his son was killed, and even the calamity could not be turned. In theory, as long as a cultivator reached the nascent soul stage, he could turn the calamity and leave, as long as there was a trace of residual soul. But all the premise is that there is a trace of residual soul. But the murderer was so cruel that even a trace of residual soul did not exist. How could he turn the calamity? Fenja Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable's footsteps flashed, collecting the aura here. Most of the auras of the battle here were wiped out. But all this seemed very clumsy in the eyes of a transformed god. There is the breath of pure yang heavenly fire here. There is the breath of powerful divine will here. There are also the breaths of some 5th grade spiritual treasures. Thick Earth Xianzhen walked in a circle, constantly restraining his breath, and making careful calculations. He soon determined who the murderer was. Lord Xuanji, Xuanji, said Thick Earth Xianzhen, but they have no grudges. Why would he kill my son? What's more, Lord Xuanji is only at the 6th level of the nascent soul, while Fenja is at the 9th level of the nascent soul. The gap between them is huge. How could he kill him? There was confusion in his heart, but he had determined the target. But at this moment, Thick Earth Xianzhen still had doubts. He suspected that some people were diverting the blame. He suspected that some people were blaming others and letting Xuanji take the blame, and he needed to confirm 1 or 2 things carefully. With a flash of his figure, Thick Earth Xianzhen disappeared. Chapter 490 Entering the Gate of Bones. Swish. Xuanji's footsteps flashed as he advanced rapidly. He walked through one passage after another and headed deeper. Along the way, if he encountered a powerful demon, he would kill him directly without mercy. If he encountered a powerful human, he would do it according to the situation. He fought all the way, fighting all the way, and there were no less than a dozen battles. As he walked, a violent noise came from the front. Xuanji activated the chaos map, and immediately his aura became chaotic, covering up his own aura. In front of him was a huge square, which was extremely huge. The ground was made of black steel rock, which was extremely solid, and could withstand the bombardment of the strong without breaking. In front of the square, there was a huge portal, which seemed to be made of stone, and looked mottled and ancient. On the stone gate, there were some broken marks, as if it had experienced a long time. On the gate, there were 4 big characters. Gate of Bones. In the hall, the 2 sides were in a melee. There were about 30 cultivators fighting, some from the human race and some from the demon race, and the fierce battle between them was quite fierce. At this moment, a demon cultivator turned into a stream of light and entered the white bone gate. The other cultivators watched, a flash of hesitation. At this moment, a human cultivator also entered. As if there was an inexplicable attraction, one cultivator after another entered and disappeared. The fierce battles had been going on, but they ended inexplicably. Only 3 or 5 cultivators remained outside, hesitating. Legend has it that the White Bone Gate contains the inheritance of the White Bone lineage, and it is also the core of the White Bone Hall. Xuanji combined some legends and some data from his mobile phone to vaguely guess something. In this secret realm, the most precious treasure is this White Bone Demon Hall. According to the grade, the White Bone Demon Hall is a top-level spiritual treasure, or a palace type, with amazing power and various auxiliary effects. Whether it is the human or demon god, they all want to seize, or even refine this treasure. Unfortunately, many gods took action, but failed. Although they failed, they also detected some details. That is, there is a bone gate deep in the Bone Demon Hall, which is the core of the hall. It seems that, as long as the bone gate is refined, the opportunity can be obtained. Many cultivators entered it one after another, whether it was the human Yuanying, or the demon Yuanying, like moths to a flame, entering the bone gate. It is possible to enter this portal and face death. If you refine the bone gate, and control the Bone Demon Hall, it is like having a top-level spiritual treasure to protect the way, which can be said to be a world-shaking adventure. There is also a glimmer of hope for achieving the transformation of the gods in the future. On the road of cultivating immortals, daring to fight hard may not necessarily succeed, and may lead to failure and turn into ashes, but if you dare not fight hard, there is not even a glimmer of chance. Looking at the bone gate, Xuanji suddenly thought of the Chaos Ancient Hall. In the Chaos Ancient Hall, there is also a core position called the Chaos Gate. Only by refining the Chaos Gate can you control the Chaos Ancient Hall. But now, the Chaos Ancient Hall fell into King Lian's hands. I have the Cave Heaven Pearl, so there is no need to take risks. Xuanji thought. At this moment, he felt a terrifying aura coming down, and when he looked carefully, it was Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable. To be precise, it was just a clone of Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable. Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable came here and looked around. He seemed to have discovered something, and shot into the void. The void was shaking violently, and suddenly Xuanji's faint aura leaked out, and fell out of the void. Looking at this scene, Xuanji was a little helpless, but he still stepped forward and said, "Greetings, senior. Not long ago, did you kill Shen Feng's engine?" Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable asked, looking at Xuanji, and observing his expression changes. Xuanji's face changed slightly, and he felt uneasy. "Xianzhen, what do you mean?" Xuanji asked. "You killed him?" Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable asked. "Yes." Xuanji said. "He is my son, you killed him, then pay for his life." Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable's eyes flashed with anger, and he punched out. The fist blasted out, like a hammer, with a domineering and fierce force, as if to tear everything apart. There was no earth-shattering vision when this punch was thrown, but only ordinary. It was like a mortal warrior, blasting out a punch. But at the moment, when this punch was thrown, Xuanji felt a huge danger. Almost following instinct, a 9-colored divine sword appeared on his palm, and the void was buzzing, like a bee shaking its wings. In the world, the power of the 5 element, the power of yin and yang, the power of the primordial magnetism, the power of starlight, the power of time and space, the power of extinction, etc. Many forces gathered together, added to the long sword, and turned into an extinction sword to slash out. The speed was fast and fierce, like a punishment from heaven. Gaudy but not practical. Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable sneered. His words were disdainful, as if he was looking down on the will of an ant. The huge iron fist continued to blast down. When the fist was about to strike, it trembled 9 times in a row. Each tremor formed a superposition force. After 9 consecutive superpositions, it struck the long sword. The fist and the long sword collided. The void exploded. The wave of destruction was sweeping, and the two sides collided violently. After a short stalemate, the 9-colored divine sword broke apart. Die. At this moment, the originally exhausted fist continued to gather strength to strike out. The force was as fierce as when the fist was just thrown. It seemed that the force of the fist had not weakened at all. Swish. At this moment, Xuanji urged the lonely boat and straw hat picture to resist. Bang bang. In just a moment, the picture scroll was rolling, and the spiritual imprint inside collapsed instantly. Xuanji vomited blood. Buzz. The fist struck out again, and the iron fist hit the immortal divine ring, and one collapsed after another, without any pause. In just a moment, the 5 divine rings collapsed. At this moment, the iron fist hit Xuanji's chest, and the sound of ribs breaking came, crisp and loud. Then, the fist hit the heart, and the heart was shattered. The fist force hit the body, and the body turned into meat in an instant. The fist force continued to hit, and it was about to wipe out his nascent soul. Buzz. At this moment, the pure yang broken sword blocked in front. The fist that was originally indestructible encountered an obstacle for the first time. Xuanji's body flew backwards, blood all over his body, like a broken cloth bag. When his body flew backwards, it hit the door of bones. Swish. On the door of bones, light was flashing. Xuanji disappeared in it. What a powerful Xuanji's engine. I can't kill him with 3 punches. How to Xianzhen flashed a trace of curiosity. But the murderous aura was surging. The Gate of Bones is a place where one's life is at risk. Several of us sent our avatars into it one after another, wanting to refine the Gate of Bones, but we failed. He may not succeed either. However, I must see him alive or his body dead. How can I vent my hatred if I don't witness his death with my own eyes and skin him alive? With hatred flashing in his eyes, How to Xianzhen also stepped into the Gate of Bones. Chapter 491, White Bone Thunder. With flashing footsteps, thick earth heavenly venerable entered, with a sense of relentless pursuit. Just as he entered, time and space were reversed, the void was changing, and the eyes became dark. The next moment, he appeared in the hall. An ancient voice sounded, "The test begins." The void was changing, and the eyes became dark. I don't know how long it took. Xuanji opened his eyes. Puff. When he opened his eyes, Xuanji spit out a mouthful of blood again, and lay on the ground powerlessly. His body was severely injured, his mana was exhausted, his soul was seriously injured, and he was dying, as if he would fall at any time. In his body, there was a trace of mana like a maggot in the tarsal bone, eroding the flesh, and preventing the wound from healing. Puff. He opened his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood again. But it seems that he has vomited blood too many times, and he is gradually getting used to it. The previous battle was a great defeat. Only a clone of the incarnation of the spirit showed terrifying fighting power, and it was almost killing him with just 3 moves. The clone was at the same level as him in terms of mana, and was even weaker than him. But in terms of combat power, it was almost crushing him. Recalling the battle process just now, How to Xianzhen had almost reached the level of perfection in the control of combat skills. His boxing skills were back to the basics, and every punch and kick was like that of a mortal warrior. But at the moment of the battle, not a trace of energy was leaked, and no extra energy was wasted. This battle also made Xuanji see his own shortcomings. He was somewhat lacking in combat experience, and lacked control over skills. In the past, when facing the enemy, he relied on his own strong mana and the supreme magical power of the perfect level. The two were superimposed together to form a crushing momentum and forcibly suppress the enemy. In many battles, the enemy was often crushed with a crushing force, and the enemy was suppressed with 3 punches and 2 kicks, and the battle ended in a very short time. There were rarely scenes of big battles, bloody battles, and stalemates, which also led to his relatively lack of combat experience and some deficiencies in skills. In the end, he could only crash into the door of bones to escape. I will come back. Xuanji coughed, a flash of anger in his eyes. He took a pill of Bushan and then practiced the technique again, starting to expel the alien magic power in his body and repairing the damaged body. As the technique was running, the injuries on his body recovered little by little. Puff. At this moment, a mouthful of dirty blood spit out, and Xuanji felt refreshed. His body was much better. Crack. Crack. At this moment, the body made a slight sound, and the injuries were healing quickly. He stepped forward and looked forward. There was only a grey haze in front of him, and the grey world dominated the mainstream. He walked forward and saw that there were trees and flowers in front of him, with waterfalls, rivers, and spiritual fields, etc., lush and green, like a paradise. He walked forward again and saw a man in black standing in front of him. The man in black said, "When you enter the Gate of Bones, you must undergo 7 tests. If you pass the test, you can become a disciple of the Gate of Bones. If you fail the test, you will die here." "Senior, what is your name?" Xuanji asked. "I'm the Taoist of Bones, and I'm in charge of this test." The man in black said, "This is one of my avatars. My other avatars are also in other places, testing some cultivators. I hope you will pass the test. If you fail, you can only die here." His words were cold and indifferent. Xuanji was speechless. This is the difference between the demonic path and the immortal path. If you fail the test of the immortal path, you will just be expelled. If you fail the test of the demonic path, you will die directly. "Senior, what is the first level?" Xuanji asked. "This is a volume of magical powers. It depends on how much you can comprehend," the Bone Taoist said, waving his hand and throwing down a stone tablet. This stone tablet records a supreme magical power of the demonic path, called Bone Divine Thunder. You can comprehend a little bit. As long as you practice to the 15th level, you will pass. You only have 1 day. Xuanji stepped forward and observed the stone tablet. At the beginning, he was a little indifferent. Over the years, he has been fighting fiercely and killing continuously, killing countless powerful enemies, and capturing many spoils. He has seen all kinds of magical powers, and his vision has been raised. Even the supreme magical power, he has seen several volumes. But as he looked carefully, his face became more and more solemn. This magical power is divided into 30 levels. The threshold for entry into this magical power is very low. Even Kigan cultivators can comprehend and practice it. Even stupid people can practice it. But the more you practice, the more subtle it becomes, and the more powerful it becomes. If you practice to the 20th level, it is comparable to the supreme magical power. If you practice to the 30th level, it is comparable to the immortal art. Such a low threshold and high upper limit magical power has great strategic significance for large sects. Imagine that most of the cultivators in a sect practice the same magical power, which is combined into a large formation. When they attack and kill, they are extremely powerful. It also has great strategic significance for cultivators. Just like Xuanji, he practiced small magical powers in the early stage, big magical powers in the middle stage, and supreme magical powers in the later stage. As his cultivation level improved, some of his previous magical powers had to be abandoned because of insufficient power, which caused a certain amount of time waste. But this magical power is constantly improving step by step. It can be practiced in the key training realm. When it comes to the golden core and the nascent soul, it is just from simple to complex. It will never be outdated if it is practiced all the way. Obviously, the cultivator who created this skill is a peerless and powerful person with great wisdom. And from the White Bone Divine Thunder, we can also glimpse the prominence and power of the White Bone Demon sect in the past. Xuanji only took a general look at it for a moment, and then used the mobile phone to deduce it, and soon realized the key. The core of the Bone Thunder is the Yin Bone Rune and the Yang Bone Rune. Both of these runes are condensed from bones, but one is Yin and the other is Yang, and their properties are exactly opposite. The two runes are combined together, and the Yin and Yang are integrated and perfectly balanced. After the monk's practice, the first level only needs to condense 2 runes, the second level, condense 4 runes, the third level, condense 8 runes, the fourth level, condense 16 runes. And so on. Each level is twice the number of runes. The number of bone runes required for each level is twice the number of the previous level. At the beginning, it is not a big deal. but the more runes are condensed later, the more complicated it is to build. It is suitable for those monks with average qualifications in the early stage, but it is suitable for the top talents in the later stage. This magical power mainly tests 2 points. One is the condensation and combination of runes, which takes a long time. The other is the yin and yang fusion of the 2 yin and yang bone runes, and the balance between them. If there are only a few hundred or a few thousand runes, it is not difficult to maintain the balance of yin and yang. But with tens of thousands of them, it would be more difficult to maintain balance. This involves the cultivator's understanding of the great Dao and the subtle control of mana. Has any cultivator cultivated it to perfection? Xuanji asked. Yes. Taoist Behu said, in the White Bone Demon sect, there are 3 cultivators who have cultivated to perfection. I'm one of them. Xuanji nodded and activated the secret technique to extract the white bone energy from his body. The white bone energy was divided into 2, turning into Yang Bone Rune and Yin Bone Rune. The yin and yang keys continued to combine and change, merged together, and entered the second level. The second level, the third level, the fourth level, and soon entered the 12th level, where 4,960 runes condensed together. At the 13th level, the difficulty began to rise. Chapter 492, 30 years, the Holy Son of the Demon Sect. Continuously climbing, the runes soon increased to 32,768, and the runes were combining and changing, constantly condensing and changing. At this time, the Bone Thunder had entered the 15th level. Stimulating the thunder was already comparable to a great supernatural power. Not enough, still not enough. Xuanji operated the secret technique, and the mana in his body was changing, transforming into yin and yang, and then condensing into runes. The runes showed yin and yang. The runes were constantly fluctuating and changing. As if thinking of something, Xuanji operated yin-yang transformation, and the yin and yang in his body were condensing and constantly transforming. Runes were constantly derived and constantly combined, and runes were condensed together one by one, like building blocks. The number of runes increased, and it became more and more difficult to merge them, and it tested the cultivator's control more and more. It was like a general who led thousands of soldiers and horses, and he might be able to operate as he wished, but he might lead an army of 100,000, and there might be problems with inflexible command and wrong command. With the increase of runes, Xuanji also fell into such difficulties. At this moment, the phone started to work. The powerful computing function and data deduction ability of the phone were constantly calculating, perfectly combining and arranging the runes. The number of runes was increasing, and soon reached 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, and 50,000. The data was rising, and the runes were increasing 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and 500,000. I don't know how long it took, but the number of runes increased to as many as 1 million. But, when it entered the millionth, it seemed to reach a critical point. The number of runes continued to increase, and entered the 20th floor. When it entered the 20th floor, these nearly 1 million runes were combined again, constantly condensing, and there seemed to be a brand new change. Such changes are more complicated and profound, and the mystery is more mysterious. But, at this moment, all things return to one, and millions of runes condense together, constantly arranging and combining, and finally condensing into the White Bone Demon God. This White Bone Demon God has a burly body and majestic aura. There are complicated magic patterns on his body, like a demon god descended from hell. He is full of terrifying evil spirit, with horns on his head and a hideous and terrifying face. There are 6 arms on his body, holding a long knife, a long sword, a long spear, a wheel, a long banner, and a big axe. He is stepping on a mountain of bones, and his evil spirit is rising to the sky. But, at this moment, the White Bone Demon God seems to be alive. The aura of his whole body is rising, and the waves of destruction are sweeping in one after another. Roar. The White Bone Demon God disappeared and merged into Xuanji's body. At this moment, Xuanji felt a tattoo of the White Bone Demon God appear on his back. White Bone Divine Thunder. At this stage, it is considered a great success. At the moment of battle, Xuanji only needs to stimulate his thoughts, and there will be a terrifying divine thunder bombarding down. The power is not bad, it is considered a good supreme magical power. Of course, in terms of attack power, it is still inferior to the Great 5 Element Yin Yang Yuan Magnetic Starlight Universe Extinction Divine Sword. Just then, Xuanji opened his eyes, his mind was dazed, and he asked, "Senior, how long has it been?" 30 years. The white bone Taoist said calmly. 30 years, how is that possible? I feel like only a moment has passed. Xuanji said in disbelief. When a man is serious, time passes very quickly. The white bone Taoist said, you only took 3 hours to enter the 15th floor. Then, 3 days to enter the 16th floor, 1 month to enter the 17th floor, 1 year to enter the 18th floor, 10 years to enter the 19th floor, and 20 years to enter the 20th floor. It took more than 30 years in total, which is a bit long. Senior, isn't the assessment time 1 day? Xuanji asked. His expression was a bit dazed. In his perception, only a moment had passed, but in the real world, 30 years had passed. The speed was a bit too fast. Seeing how serious you are, I can't bear to disturb you, so I'll just let you continue to comprehend. The bone Taoist said, is 30 years a long time? Not at all, it's just a nap. Your comprehension and aptitude are much better than I thought. I practiced for 300 years to reach the 20th level, but you only practiced for 30 years. Most of the magic skills have low aptitude requirements. Even those with medium or dull aptitude can practice. Of course, if one has high comprehension and aptitude, the speed will be faster after practicing magic skills. Senior, I passed the first level. Xuanji asked. Passed, said the bone Taoist. I wonder what the second level is? Xuanji asked. There are 7 levels to enter the white bone demon sect. The first level tests your comprehension, the second level tests your Dao heart, the third level tests your combat power, the fourth level tests your luck, the sixth level tests your qualifications, and the 7th level tests your demon heart. If you pass the 3 levels, you can become a disciple of the inner sect. If you pass the 4 levels, you can become a true disciple. If you pass the 5 levels, you can become a holy son. It depends on your concentration in the first level. You can be exempted from the assessment in the following 6 levels. This is the Holy Sun order, take it. The white bone Taoist threw a token. Xuanji took the token and breathed a sigh of relief. Since you have entered my white bone demon sect, you must understand the history of my white bone demon sect. The white bone Taoist said, follow me. As he spoke, his footsteps flashed. He disappeared with Xuanji. A moment later, they arrived in a hall with many portraits hanging in the hall. Looking at these portraits, Taoist Beigu said, the founder of the white bone demon sect is named Bei Wuji. He was once a disciple of the Xingqian Pavilion. His aptitude was neither good nor bad. He practiced hard for 500 years and barely became a giant and cultivator. If there were no accidents, Patriarch Bei would have achieved limited success. Jinden was the peak of his life, and there was no hope for Yuanying. But later, Patriarch Bei was framed by his wife, his Jinden was shattered, and he became a cripple. Even if he escaped with the help of the Duncan talisman, it was all over. After encountering misfortune, Patriarch Bei broke into a secret realm somewhere, where he encountered the corpse of a god, and some storage bags. That god transforming cultivator is a rare sword bone. The ancestor used a secret technique to directly refine the sword bone into his body. With this opportunity, he reshaped his bones and recondensed the golden elixir. Soon he became a Yuanying and a god transforming powerhouse. It's just that the sword bone was not integrated into the body after all, and in the late stage of the god transforming, it began to hinder his own progress and became a huge bottleneck. Gradually, he began to study bones and obtain many bones of cultivators, including those of demons, monsters, giants, and dragons, the white bone Taoist said. In his story, the white patriarch had poor aptitude, but he got a great opportunity. Later, in order to break the shackles of aptitude, he began to study the secrets of bones. Gradually, because he hunted more cultivators of various races, he also became a demon cultivator. He left a lot of notes, which described his research success. But human power is limited after all, and the patriarch was stuck at the peak of the transformation of the spirit and passed away. Before he passed away, he left only one disciple, who was only at the initial stage of the golden elixir. This disciple inherited the teacher's notes and continued his research. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493, White Bone Demon Lord, Artificial Immortal Bone. This disciple also became the second generation ancestor of the White Bone Demon sect. This ancestor had average qualifications, and he died after practicing to the peak of the Golden Core. If nothing unexpected happened, the White Bone Demon sect would have been an unknown small demon sect, and would have disappeared after a long time. But in the third generation, a peerless genius was born, named Xuanji. Speaking of Xuanji's name, you may not know it, but when it comes to the name of the White Bone Demon Lord, you should know it. When he said this, the White Bone Taoist showed a look of joy, and there was a sense of boasting in his words. Xuanji. The title is the White Bone Demon Lord, a natural spiritual root, who comprehended and created the white bone relics and white bone divine thunder, etc. Built the foundation at the age of 15, the purple mansion at the age of 30, the golden elixir at the age of 50, and the Yuanying at the age of 80. He is known as the youngest Yuanying cultivator in history. He entered the realm of the Hedao at the age of 2000, and ascended to heaven at the age of 5000. It is precisely because of the existence of Xuanji that the White Bone Demon vein became one of the 7 great demon veins, and it is famous. After Xuanji, the White Bone Demon sect was passed down for 10,000 years. 10,000 years later, it was besieged by powerful enemies and destroyed, leaving only some secret realms. At the same time, the White Bone sect's skills and secrets were also scattered everywhere, so countless White Bone Demon sects were born. As for the true and false inheritances, I don't know how many there are. At this point, the White Bone Taoist sneered. Many cultivators slandered the demon cultivators and shouted to kill them, but as long as the desires of human nature remain unchanged, the essence of the demon cultivators is immortal. But when they encounter bottlenecks that are difficult to break through, they will choose the magic skills to break through the limits. There is great terror between life and death. And how many people can withstand the fear of death? The White Bone Demon Lord has 3 major inheritances, namely the White Bone Relics, the White Bone Divine Thunder, and the White Bone Demon Sutra. The White Bone Relics are forged with the bones of cultivators, and can be transformed into magic weapons in various forms. The attack and killing are amazing. Of course, the biggest effect is to assist the cultivators in their practice. The Bone Thunder can not only help the monks to kill, but also temper the bones of the monks, which can be transformed into sword bones, immortal bones, etc. The bone magic scripture accords the 7 supreme magical powers of the bone lineage, some of which focus on defense, some on offense, some on control, and some on assistance. The Bone Taoist said, if you join my bone magic sect and become the 7th generation or even, you can inherit my bone lineage. The skills circulated in the outside world are all unorthodox skills. I have the authentic skills of the bone lineage. What do I need to pay to join the bone magic sect? Xuanji asked. All this is just a chess piece I picked up at random. The Bone Taoist smiled and said, this chess piece may become a top powerhouse. It is also possible that this chess piece will soon be forgotten by everyone. It is also possible that this chess piece will fall in a certain catastrophe. If you can grow up, it's best, but if you can't, it doesn't matter. Thank you, senior. Xuanji said. The White Bone Taoist said, next, I will tell you about the White Bone Demon sect's skills. Then he began to narrate. Xuanji listened carefully, and was a little nervous at the beginning. It was because he felt that the next technique would be extremely evil and bloody, but in fact it was quite different. The technique described was quite grand and righteous, without any evil intentions, but directly pointed to the essence of the immortal way. The White Bone Demon sect focuses on the transformation of the roots of the cultivators, transforming the cultivators with ordinary roots into top geniuses. The biggest ideal of the White Bone Demon sect is artificial immortal bones. After 3 generations of efforts, the White Bone Demon sect succeeded. The White Bone Demon Lord Baizaoan is the best test subject. Baizaoan has outstanding qualifications and started with a natural spiritual root. Such qualifications are very good and surpass many cultivators, but in the long historical scale, among many Xuanji, it is nothing. In fact, this is also the case. The advantage of the natural spiritual root qualifications will be exhausted when reaching the Jiandan realm. After comprehending the notes of the first 2 ancestors, Baizaoan created the White Bone Relics and White Bone Divine Thunder by combining the 2 and transformed himself into immortal bones. It was also relying on the immortal bone physique that he turned the impossible into the possible, and in just 3,000 years, he entered the state of harmony. 5,000 years is the time to ascend to the immortal world. Xuanji, you should understand. At this time, the White Bone Taoist said, in terms of attack and killing, the White Bone Divine Thunder can only be regarded as the top level, not the strongest. The biggest advantage of the White Bone Divine Thunder is that it can use the power of the Divine Thunder to cleanse the marrow and improve the qualifications of the cultivator. Back then, Baizaoan was just a mortal bone, but with the help of the White Bone Divine Thunder marrow cleansing power, he forcibly transformed himself into immortal bone. The higher the level of the White Bone Divine Thunder, the stronger the power of its own marrow cleansing, and the brighter the future. The sooner you cultivate the White Bone Divine Thunder to a higher level, the greater the benefits to yourself. The reason why I exempted you from the 7 levels of assessment is because it only took you 30 years to cultivate the White Bone Divine Thunder to the 20th level. Back then, Baizaoan also spent 50 years, and your qualifications are better than his. The more he looked at Xuanji, the happier the Taoist White Bone was. Even though he always had a bad temper, he was still very tolerant towards geniuses. The White Bone Divine Thunder, when cultivated to the 30th level, can actually transform itself into immortal bone. Xuanji was also secretly amazed. Such hidden advantages were too obvious. Generally speaking, when a cultivator passes through the 9-layer immortal tribulation, all the bones in his body will be transformed into immortal bones. However, there are some Ivaldos in the world who have immortal bones in their bodies when they are at a very low level. Some only have chest ribs as immortal bones, some have forehead bones as immortal bones, some have fingers as immortal bones, and some have legs as immortal bones. It is only a piece of bone in the human body that is transformed into immortal bones. Compared with the immortals who pass the tribulation, the whole body is full of immortal bones. Naturally, it is much inferior, but for the lower level cultivators, it is of great benefit. Those cultivators can use the immortal bones on their bodies to evolve into a supreme magical power. They can also use the immortal bones to temper their blood and increase their cultivation speed. The cultivators with immortal bones have a natural talent, and there is almost no bottleneck before the integration of the Tao. The cultivation speed is extremely fast, almost like the seeds of immortals. The gap between immortal bone cultivators and ordinary cultivators once again shows how big the gap is between people. Some people were born in Rome, and some were born as mules and horses. Of course, the immortal bone is different from some physical conditions. For example, the special physical conditions such as the pure Yang Taoist body and the innate Taoist fetus are innate to the monks, and cannot be deprived. It is easy to kill a special monk, but it is impossible to deprive him of his physical condition and transfer it to another monk. But it is not the same for the immortal bone monks. The immortal bone can be deprived. There was once an immortal bone monk who was killed and transplanted to a genius. Chapter 494, White Bone Taoist, brother. Is this the way of the devil? It's a bit crazy. All the devil cultivators are paranoid. Xuanji was speechless. In the world of immortal cultivation, resources are limited, and there is a strong internal circulation. There are often not enough spiritual stones, spiritual veins, spiritual medicines, and spiritual materials. Therefore, there are artificial spiritual stones, artificial spiritual veins, artificial spiritual stones, artificial cultivation of spiritual medicines, etc. Many man-made things make up for the lack of certain resources. If everything depends on the natural birth of the world, many cultivators would have starved to death long ago. But the white bone demon sect actually, artificial immortal bones, which is too crazy. Madness is nothing, the key is that there are successful cases. The devil's way is crazy. If you are not crazy, how can you become an immortal? If you are not crazy, how can you achieve anything? The white bone Taoist said, in just 30 years, you have cultivated white bone divine thunder to the 20th level. Your aptitude and understanding are both excellent. But relying on aptitude alone is not enough. You also need white bone relics. With the help of white bone relics, you can forge immortal bones. This is the white bone relic, the forging method. He pointed his finger and passed the forging method over. Xuanji was comprehending the secret technique, and his mind was a little dazed. Be careful when you go out. My white bone demon sect has many enemies. If you are discovered by a powerful enemy, you may encounter a disaster. The white bone Taoist said, go out. The terrifying force came, and Xuanji was squeezed out before he could say anything. Leaving the white bone palace, leaving the secret realm, he was directly squeezed out. Crack, crack. Just as he left for a moment, a violent sound came from the white bone secret realm, and the secret realm was shattered, like broken glass. As the secret realm was broken, one cultivator after another was pushed out. After counting the number of people, there were less than 10 people alive, including Xuanji. After careful observation, the clone of Hao Xianzhen did not appear, as if he had fallen in it. There were about 100 Yuanian cultivators who entered the secret realm, but in the end, less than 10 people appeared. The secret realm was a bit cruel. Crash, crash. The secret realm was breaking, and the speed of breaking was accelerating. As the secret realm broke, the ripples of destruction continued, annihilating everything, crushing everything, and everything inside was breaking faster. At this moment, in the white bone demon hall, the white bone Taoist appeared. But at this moment, the mist covering his body dissipated, revealing his true face. It was Xuanji, the elder brother of Xuanji in the past. Brother, this is all I can do for you. Xuanji sighed. Thinking back to his past and present lives, he couldn't help but sigh. In his previous life, he was a top genius of the white bone demon sect. He started practicing at the age of 9, established his foundation at the age of 30, reached the purple palace at the age of 100, reached the golden core at the age of 200, reached the nascent soul at the age of 500, and entered the refining void realm at the age of 5000. Such a speed is naturally much inferior to those peerless monsters who have become immortals and ascended to heaven. But in that era, he was also considered a first-class genius. In his previous life, he practiced the supreme magical power, white bone divine thunder, and at the age of 4000, he practiced it to the 30th level. His right hand was transformed into immortal bone, and he became the third immortal bone cultivator of the white bone demon sect. But it was precisely because of this that some cultivators coveted and besieged him. In the fierce battle, the white bone demon sect was wiped out, and he was also suppressed and killed. At the moment of crisis, he activated the secret technique to escape a trace of his soul and turned away. It was just because his soul was injured and his origin was deficient that he was just immortal after reincarnation, without awakening his spiritual roots. I lived in the mortal world in a daze, gave birth to children, and continued my descendants until I was 60 years old. In an accident, I got a bone relic. With the help of the bone relic, I embarked on the road of cultivation. After practicing for 1000 years, I finally reached the nascent soul realm. After the nascent soul realm, I awakened the memories of my previous life and knew who I was. Not long after, I sensed the location of the white bone demon palace and entered this secret realm. I completely refined the white bone gate and regained control of this treasure. Looking back on my past and present lives, everything seemed like a dream. Brother, this is the only thing I can do for you. Xuanji looked at a place in the secret realm where there was the clone of Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable who had seriously injured his brother. Swish. The white bone demon palace was activated, and the destructive force suppressed it immediately. In the secret realm, Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable activated his magic power to resist, but it was of no use at all. The clone was completely suppressed and turned into ashes. In a certain sacred mountain, the spiritual energy is rich, and there are 12 spiritual veins suppressing it. The spiritual energy intersects and evolves into a supreme formation to protect the sacred mountain. Around the sacred mountain, hundreds of flowers are in full bloom, colorful and extremely beautiful. Various spiritual medicines are planted around, lush and green, and appear particularly lush. There are also monks walking in the mountains to take care of the spiritual medicines. In the distance, there are some terrifying auras rising, and then converge. On the periphery of the mountain range, a large number of monks gathered together to practice and combine formations. The entire Houta sect is busy, and the storm is coming, preparing for the upcoming war. In the central position, there is a huge mountain range, which looks majestic and steep, towering into the clouds, like a sharp sword piercing the void, with a faint breath of destruction leaking out. In the mountain range, there is a cave. In the cave, Houta Xianzhen is in seclusion, comprehending something. At this moment, Houta Xianzhen's body shook slightly, his eyes opened, emitting a blood-red light, which was slightly scary. His arms were shaking, as if he was suppressing the anger in his heart. Along with the anger, blood-colored clouds formed in the void. Strange phenomena followed. As if he was extremely angry, thick earth Xianzhen began to restrain his breath. My clone fell in the white bone secret realm. These are just small things, but Fenja died in Lu Xuanji's hands. Thick earth Xianzhen flashed a trace of anger, and was about to go and kill Lu Xuanji. Most of his sons died, leaving only one. He had high hopes for Shen Feng's engine, but who would have thought that Shen Feng's engine was killed by Lu Xuanji? He stood up, and was about to kill the child himself. But when he stood up, he thought of Dangji Xianzhen and Qingdian Xianzhen. Dangji Xianzhen would stop him, because if Lu Xuanji fell, it would reduce the power of the human race. Qingdian Xianzhen would also stop him. He felt that, even if he took action at this moment, he could not kill Lu Xuanji. If he couldn't kill him, why bother to act blindly? Forget it, a little impatience will ruin a big plan. You still need to be patient. Thick Earth Heavenly Venerable suppressed the murderous intent in his heart, restrained his breath, and hid his anger. He was waiting for the right time to avenge his son. Boom boom boom. The secret realm was shattered, and everything was shattered. At this moment, a huge palm appeared in the void. The palm was 1,000 miles in size, like a huge piece of land. The palm was changing, and it came to capture the White Bone Demon Palace. Snap, snap. At this moment, the huge palm captured the White Bone Demon Palace. Chapter 495. The demon tribe surrounds and kills. But at this moment, a violent noise was heard, and a destructive light burst out from the White Bone Demon Palace, and endless white light tore everything apart. It was like a blade cutting and breaking everything. The huge palm was cut open, and drops of blood fell. But the next moment, the scattered blood seemed to have a spirit, gathering at the wound, and the wound was healing. It turned into a white palm again. The white palm was changing, and the power of the 5 element on the palm was gathering, evolving violently, and turning into colorful light, suppressing it. The White Bone Palace was expanding violently, and a white bone divine thunder condensed and blasted out. Boom boom boom. The colorful palm was changing, and the power of annihilation swept over, and the white bone divine thunder dissipated. The White Bone Palace continued to shrink, turning into dust, dissipating in the void, and escaping. A man in green appeared in the void and said indifferently, "White Bone Taoist, you can't escape." The palm tore through the void, escaped into the turbulent flower the void, and chased after him. Crash. The secret realm was breaking, and the void was breaking. After 10 breaths, the world was repairing its wounds, and the broken void was recondensing and healing. It seemed that everything that happened just now was like a dream. The man in green is so powerful that he can tear the void with one hand. I don't know what will happen to the Taoist priest Beigu after chasing the strong enemy. Did he escape? Lu Xuanji was worried about the scene of the brief battle between the two sides. The Taoist priest Beigu was seriously injured, and his cultivation was at a low point, but the monk in green was at the level of Liang Su, and had strong strength. The two sides were gaining and losing, and the situation was worrying. But he couldn't say anything, but had to pretend that nothing happened. If you ask that senior for help, it will definitely ease the crisis of Chu. At this time, Xuanji approached and couldn't help saying. This was the first time she saw a cultivator of Liangsu. It passed by, but it showed her own strength. You think too much. Lu Xuanji sneered. If a group of key refining monks fight, will you go forward to persuade them to fight or intervene? Xuanji was speechless. Things that are very important to us are not important to the void refining cultivators. Just like now, the state of Chu is in crisis, with the threat of the Sea Clan in the east and the danger of the Monster Clan in the west. One careless mistake may lead to the fall of the state of Chu, and tens of millions of cultivators will be reduced to ashes, and trillions of human beings will die in the disaster. For the Yuanian cultivators and the Shenhua cultivators of the state of Chu, it is almost a matter of life and death. But for the void refining cultivators, it is just a small matter. They will not, and will not bother to participate. Lu Xuanji said, some cultivators have too high a vision. We are just humble ants. If we can stand out in the disaster, we may be looked up to, but if we die in the disaster, it is just a trivial matter. Xuanji sighed. Everything depends on ourselves. Lu Xuanji said, that's right. What treasures or inheritance did you get in the White Bone Demon Palace? Lu Xuanji asked. Xuanji said, there, I broke through 3 levels in a row, and got some enlightenment tea leaves, and the quantity is not small. Lu Xuanji also breathed a sigh of relief. With the enlightenment tea, the earth soul pill is sure to be made. Let's go, it's not safe here. Lu Xuanji said. With that, the two disappeared. The other cultivators also took precautions, and left one after another. The two retreated, with golden light flashing under their feet. When they walked to a certain place, the void was as solid as a stone, and the two of them couldn't help but pause when they hit it. At this moment, accompanied by a violent sound, one by one, the demon clan true monarchs appeared in the void, about 12 of them, holding the formation flags in their hands and constantly changing their positions, and moving their bodies. The void was as heavy as mercury. The 12 demon clan true monarchs activated the formation, turning it into a confinement formation, blocking the area of 100 miles. In this area of 100 miles, an absolute confinement was formed. Not good. Lu Xuanji felt bad, and activated the power of creation. Suddenly, the 9-color divine sword appeared, turning into a stunning edge, slashing down. Boom boom boom. The long swords fought on the imprisonment formation, and the formation just shook a little, which relieved most of the force. Xuanji also made a move, and the black and white colors condensed, and turned into a long sword to stab the formation. The formation shook slightly, which blocked most of the damage. Kill. Lu Xuanji and Xuanji looked at each other, and the magic power of both sides merged together, and their bodies also merged with it. But a 10-foot long green sword appeared in the void, and slashed into the void. The imprisonment formation was shaking, and a gap was made. The two were happy, and were about to escape. At the next moment, a man in gold appeared at the gap, holding a big bell in his hand. Ding ding ding. The big bell was shaking, and the ripples of destruction swept over. Bang bang. Lu Xuanji and Xuanji's bodies flew backwards, and returned to the formation again, and their escape failed. At this time, the man in the golden robe entered the formation through the gap. True Lord Xiu, True Lord Xuanji, today is the day for you to die. In order to kill you and your wife, our demon clan has made many preparations. The Xuanwu demon lord has activated the secret technique to confuse the heavenly secrets. The Kunpeng demon lord has restrained the Danji heavenly lord. There are 12 true lords who have set up the imprisonment formation to prevent you from escaping. I have even borrowed a 6th grade spiritual treasure to come and take your lives. As he said this, a golden sword appeared in his palm. There were exquisite patterns on the golden sword, which looked gorgeous and extravagant. It was the 6th grade spiritual treasure, the golden sun sword. As for the golden robed man, his aura leaked out, showing his cultivation of half-step transformation. Xuanji, this is Jin Yu, the 3rd elder of the Jinwu clan, with the cultivation of half-step transformation. He has been guiding the earth soul for 1,000 years. He has a deep foundation and a strong cultivation. Xuanji said, what trump card do you have? Use it quickly. If we can't get through this calamity, we may really lose here. Is it the human calamity? Lu Xuanji said. Don't say any more, let's fight. Xuanji said. The two of them joined forces to attack. Lu Xuanji activated the pure Yang Dao body, like a golden sun rising, and the 33 heavens of strange phenomena rose behind him. In his left hand, he held the pure Yang broken sword, and the pure Yang key burst out. In his right hand, he held the 9-colored divine sword, and the blade light was like snow. His footsteps flashed, and he rushed forward to attack. Xuanji activated the immortal sword body, and the sword key surged all over his body, as if it was about to evolve into a sharp long sword, tearing everything apart. The pure Yang true fire swept over, and the immortal sword key swept over. The third elder of the Jinwu clan roared, with a big bell on his head, and the golden sword in his hand stabbed out. Bang bang. The two sides quickly clashed with each other. It was like a battle between mortal warriors, without energy leakage, and each move was extremely simple. When the monks fought, the fighting was earth-shattering. Mountains collapsed, rivers flowed back, and huge pits appeared on the ground. The scene seemed to be extremely destructive, but in fact it also reflected the lack of control, and the waste of mana. When the monks controlled their own power to the extreme, they would not waste any more mana. Every bit of mana was used just right and never wasted. Chapter 496, Rescue. Bang, bang. The three of them clashed with each other, fighting each other with speed, going straight back and forth, abandoning skills, and only having speed and precise control of mana. In the blink of an eye, the three of them exchanged 100 moves. The battle continued, from a stalemate to the three elders of the Golden Crow clan having a slight advantage. Whoosh. Lu Xuanji panted slightly, and after 100 moves, his mana was almost exhausted. His realm was too low, resulting in insufficient mana. It was okay to fight for a short time, but if it was delayed for a long time, it would be difficult to support. It's time to end. The third elder let out a long roar, and the golden sword slashed out. Lu Xuanji urged the dragonfly spirit form to dodge away, but there was a sound of a long sword piercing. Swish. The cold sword blade changed violently in an instant, like a burning flame, burning his flesh and blood. The golden sword shook, and Lu Xuanji's body was torn into two pieces in an instant. At this moment, Xuanji came to rescue. The bell was ringing, and Xuanji looked a little dazed. The third elder sneered and stabbed Lu Xuanji's nascent soul with his long sword, killing him with one blow. Nascent soul is protected by the immortal spirit, so it is difficult to kill it. But the golden sword is a 6th grade spiritual treasure, which can break the immortal spirit, and kill the nascent soul. At this moment, 24 treasures flew out, to resist the golden sword, but it was useless. One by one, the magic weapons were broken, like broken porcelain scattered all over the ground. But with this opportunity, Lu Xuanji's nascent soul escaped from his body, and avoided the fatal blow. On the western front, the human race and the demon race were confronting each other. The mountains like a sleeping dragon stood between the two, majestic and huge, and endless. On the mountains, 18 cities stood, and spiritual veins were laid in the cities, and many formations were set up. Many formations were connected to each other, layered, and turned into a supreme killing formation, like a crossbow arrow, that was not fired, ready to shoot out at any time and turn into a destructive sword. This is a 6th grade intermediate killing array. In the center of the killing array, Dongji Xianzhen sat at the center of the array, presiding over the operation of the array. As long as a demon clan god dared to pass through, he would detonate the array, and there would be no problem in killing 1 or 2 gods. It is almost impossible and unrealistic to resist the pace of the demon clan's attack with the array here. But if you want to break through the defense here, you must have 1 or 2 gods to be buried with you. No, the heaven's secrets are confused. Xuanwu Yaozhen is confusing the heaven's secrets. What is he going to do? At this moment, Dongji Xianzhen felt uneasy. He stood up and walked out of the cave. When he walked out of the cave, 5 demon clan gods locked on him, as if they were going to launch a fatal blow in the next moment. Dongji Xianzhen looked solemn and urged the nearby array. The arrays of the 18 cities were activated, as if they were going to fight back. The divine thoughts were clashing, and the auras were colliding. The two sides were in a stalemate, locking on each other, looking for the enemy's flaws, waiting for the critical moment to give a fatal blow. A mountain range has recently arisen in the northwest of Chu State. The mountain range is full of potential high mountains and faraway land. This mountain range was not famous at first, but it became famous because of the presence of a god. A mountain is not high, but it is famous if there are immortals. In the cave, King Lian was absorbing and exhaling spiritual energy. As the skills were running, the power of the sun, moon, and stars in the sky suddenly descended and transformed into a trace of spiritual energy. At the beginning, it was insignificant, but it gradually gathered and turned into a sea of spiritual energy, like a storm, entering its body one after another. Although the cultivation of the god is strong, the amount of spiritual energy absorbed and exhaled every time it cultivates is also huge. Just relying on absorbing the spiritual energy from the ground is not enough to meet its own consumption. After reaching the state of God, it is necessary to arrange a star array to receive the power of the sun, moon, and stars, descend to the ground, and transform it into spiritual energy to supply its own cultivation. Feeling a little uneasy, he calculated with his fingers and found that the secrets of heaven became chaotic. It seems that there is a strong person who blurred the secrets of heaven. The future has become difficult to guess. What is going to happen? King Lian walked out of the cave and reached the top of the mountain. She looked at a certain position where strong men were confronting each other. Not good. Jinxie is in danger. Xuanji is in danger. At this moment, she felt a heartache, as if the person closest to her was about to die. Sensing the coordinates left on Lu Xuanji's body, a picture suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. In the picture, Lu Xuanji and Jinxie were trapped in this formation and fell into a desperate situation. Swish. King Lian urged the magic power, and the magic power condensed into a huge palm. The palm broke through the void, instantly crossed a distance of tens of millions of miles, and slapped the imprisonment formation. As long as the imprisonment formation was broken, Lu Xuanji and Jinxie could escape, even if they were defeated. But the magic palm was changing. It seemed that the long-distance shuttle caused the power on the palm to continue to weaken. When it reached the destination, it only had the attack power of the early stage of the transformation of the spirit. The magic palm was about to slap the imprisonment formation. Something unexpected happened, and another palm appeared in the void. Bang! The two magical palms collided with each other. The power cancelled each other out, and finally dissipated. Damn it, Golden Crow Demon Venerable. King Lian gritted her teeth and said. Her footsteps flashed, and she activated Golden Light of the Earth. Her speed was accelerating. It only took 10 breaths to reach the battlefield and save Jinxie and Lu Xuanji. The golden light flashed, and the Golden Crow Demon Venerable appeared and said, Dao, please stay. Get out of the way. King Lian said. No. Kill. King Lian was furious and activated her killing move to attack. The Golden Crow Demon Venerable smiled and fought back. Boom boom boom. The wave of destruction broke out. The void was shaking, and the spiritual energy around fluctuated violently. The two sides fought each other. The Golden Crow Demon Venerable restrained her and was no longer able to rescue her. Not good. True Lord Xiao and True Lord Xuanji are in danger. At this moment, Daniyang Xianzhen frowned slightly, feeling that the Dao secrets were in chaos. But because of the cause and effect in the dark, Daniyang Xianzhen knew the changes after just a slight calculation for a moment. Xiao's engine and Xuanji's engine, a couple, were besieged by the demons. The situation was dangerous, and they might die. Xiao's engine, Xuanji's engine and others are all talented demons. They are seeds of transformation. They cannot die here. Daniyang Xianzhen walked out of Daniyang sect with flashing footsteps, turned into a stream of light, and was about to save the couple. The human race and the demon race have been fighting until now, and both sides are in a stalemate. In order to break the situation, they put their hopes on the next generation. He is very optimistic about these two people, and they cannot die. At this time, a cultivator appeared in the void. It was Peacock Demon Zun. Dao, please stay. Peacock Demon Zun said, let the children deal with the children's affairs. Dao, don't interfere. Haha, the demons bully the weak with the big and the few with the many. How can I not take action? Daniyang Xianzhen said. He waved his hand to attack and kill, and his killing moves were fierce, like a burning flame. Peacock Demon Zun urged the 5-colored divine light to brush it. Bang bang. The two sides clashed, and rescue was powerless. At the moment of the confrontation, Daniyang Xianzhen activated the secret technique to pass the message to Hao to Xianzhen, asking him to rescue the younger generation. In the cave, Hao to Xianzhen frowned slightly, feeling that the heavenly secrets were in chaos. The next moment, a message came. Hao to Xianzhen frowned slightly. He killed my son, and I didn't add insult to injury, which is good enough. You want me to rescue him? Dream on. As he said that, he closed his eyes, as if he didn't receive the message. Cough cough cough. He coughed again, and spit out a mouthful of blood. His breath became weak, pretending to be seriously injured. This way, it would be easier to explain later. Chapter 497. In desperate situation. The battle continued. The fight continued. Boom boom boom. In the continuous fierce battle, Lu Xuanji's body was full of wounds, and blood was scattered. Yuan Ying narrowly avoided the assassination of Jin Yang's sword. Then, various secret techniques, killing moves, magical powers, etc. were used one after another, but they were powerless. The injuries were increasing, and he would be killed in at most 10 moves. Jinzi was also covered with wounds, and his breath was weak. It seemed that he was about to collapse. Let's go. At this moment, Lu Xuanji activated the secret technique, and pulled Jinzi to move. The next moment, the two disappeared and entered the Dangshan Pearl. Bang. At this moment, the Dangshan Pearl also appeared in the void. Plop. At this moment, Lu Xuanji fell into the Dangshan Pearl, and his whole body was like a broken bag. He was covered in blood, seriously injured, and almost dead. As for Jinzi, his condition was not good. His magic power was eroded in his body, and his injuries were extremely serious. Lu Xuanji took a pill of Bushan Dan, and used his skills to recover from his injuries. He handed over another pill and Jinzi took it. After a while, his injuries recovered a little bit. He stood up. At this moment, Lu Xuanji looked much better, but it would take at least 20 years of recuperation to recover from his injuries. Jinzi also stood up and used magic to wash away the dust and dirt on her body. She became white again, like a fairy. However, she was also injured in the battle. If she wanted to recover from her injuries, she would need a long time to recuperate. Boom boom boom. At this moment, magic bombarded outside, and the Dong Xianzu was shaking violently. Dong Xianzu is a 7th grade spiritual treasure with a high grade. For a while, the enemy could not attack in. But after a long time, it would be hard to say. Lu Xuanji asked, Zia, how are you? I'm seriously injured, and can't fight anymore. Jinzi said, we can only rely on King Lian for rescue. As long as she is willing to help, we can be out of danger. If King Lian wanted to come, she would have come a long time ago. Now she hasn't come. It seems that she was intercepted halfway. Lu Xuanji said calmly. In order to kill us, Xuan Wu Yaozhen took action to confuse the heavenly secrets. The other several gods also took action to contain or intercept the gods of the human race. In order to kill the two of us, the demons also spent a lot of effort and mobilized many strong men. Even if they are dead now, it can be said that they died for what they deserved. Thinking about the killing game set up to hunt down the couple, Lu Xuanji didn't know whether to be happy or cry. The Chu state fought against the 10,000 mountains, and the human race and the demon race fought. Those gods will become the focus of the target, and we happen to be among them. Jinzi said. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, the demons have always abided by the rules, and did not take action when something happened, bullying the weak. It was just the younger generation who took action. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the void was making a sound, and the third elder urged the spell to bombard. The spells continued to bombard and kill. The waves of destruction came one after another. But the Dong Xianzu was still strong, and it seemed that there was no damage at all. Interesting, at least it is a 6th grade spiritual treasure. But you can be safe and worry free with just a turtle shell. Dream on. The third elder sneered. See how I break the magic weapon and kill you. The third elder laughed angrily and took out a jar. When he opened the jar, there was a green liquid inside. The liquid was very heavy, like mercury. There was a 9-hell aura surrounding the liquid, which was extremely cold. After opening the lid, endless cold air swept in immediately, as if it was going to turn into a world of ice. The 9-hell divine water, a very cold thing, can erase some spiritual imprints on the magic weapon. Open the jar and pour the 9 nether god water on the Dangshan Pearl. The Dangshan pearl makes a hissing sound, but it is still smooth and bright, resisting the erosion of the 9 nether god water. But the spiritual imprint on the Dangshan pearl is being erased bit by bit. Ah! Lu Xuanji screamed in the Dangshan pearl. His head hurts, as if a hammer is hitting his head. His body is shaking slightly, as if he has entered the cold winter and his body is suffering from the baptism of cold. Feeling the changes outside, Lu Xuanji's face became more and more gloomy, and he said, Zia, the situation is not good. The third elder of the Jinwu clan found a way to crack it, and use the 9 nether god water, to erode the Dangshan pearl. There is no problem with the Dangshan pearl, which can withstand the erosion. But my spiritual imprint can't withstand the erosion of the 9 nether god water, and began to be erased. At most, my spiritual imprint will be completely erased in a cup of tea. At that time, I can break the Dangshan pearl and enter here. We are in a desperate situation. Zia, when we enter the crisis, I will use my secret technique, and choose to self-destruct to fight for a glimmer of life for you. At this point in the situation, Lu Xuanji began to make the worst plan. Jinzi said, husband, do you really want to do this? The situation is so bad. I calculated everything in the future, and all kinds of life will dissipate. Lu Xuanji said, in a critical moment, looking for self-destruction is the last resort. Husband, don't do this. If we die, we will die together. Jinzi said, don't be angry. Lu Xuanji said, there is a formation outside that seals a void, cutting off our escape route. When I explode, the imprisonment formation outside will have a flaw. At that time, you can invoke the law, turn the catastrophe away, and escape with your life. Everyone who can survive is a lifetime. Don't act on impulse. Jinzi said, husband, I will explode. I will explode to win a glimmer of hope for you. Your nascent soul is too weak, and the power of self-explosion is limited, and it can't shake the imprisonment formation at all. Lu Xuanji smiled and said, but I'm different. After I entered the 12th turn of the golden elixir, and condensed the nascent soul is particularly strong. If I explode, the power of the explosion is also the greatest. Jinzi wanted to say something, but was silent. Now, he was in a desperate situation. Only by fighting desperately can there be a glimmer of hope. In fact, he was afraid that he would not even have the chance to fight desperately. Lu Xuanji said, wait for me. As he said that, the skills began to operate, and the immortal energy in the nascent soul began to reverse, and began to brew. Gradually, he prepared for the final self-destruction. To self-destruct, he also had to control the rhythm, and it took a certain amount of time to prepare. If the rhythm was not well controlled, he might kill his own people. Buzz buzz buzz. Time passed little by little, and the aura on Lu Xuanji's body was surging. Gradually, it was the critical moment. He only needed a thought, and the nascent soul would fly out and kill the enemy. Looking back on this life, there were regrets and joys. Life was full of ups and downs, and everything in the past was ups and downs. But all of this had to be frozen at this moment. Life was so fragile that even a peerless Ivildoer could fall into the hands of an insignificant little person. Chapter 498, The Power of Time, Nascent Soul Level 7. The aura surged, and Lu Xuanji was about to self-destruct. At this moment, a voice came, Father, don't be impulsive for now. Lu Xuanji stopped immediately, but the aura was still brewing. Lu Yaoling appeared and stepped forward and said, Father, I have a way to repel the strong enemy. Lu Xuanji frowned slightly and asked, what method? Father, you can use the fruit tree of time. Lu Yaoling stepped forward and said, the fruit of time is already in 8th grade, belonging to the semi-immortal tree. When you reach the semi-immortal realm, many spiritual roots have powerful attack power. As long as Father activates the fruit tree of time, you can kill the strong enemy. But with Father's current cultivation, you can only activate it once before your mana is exhausted. Be careful when you attack. No matter how powerful the attack is, it is useless if it cannot hit the enemy. Lu Xuanji stopped the self-destructing nascent soul and stepped forward to the fruit tree of time. With a thought, the fruit tree of time immediately flew up and landed on his palm. Buzz. The leaves were shaking, and the time runes on the leaves were undulating, constantly changing and dying, as if they were about to evolve into the power of time. Mana was injected into the fruit tree of time, and the time runes on it were immediately activated. but the mana on his body was also consuming violently, like a vampire. In just an instant, the mana on his body was consumed by as much as 7 layers. Crack, crack. At this moment, a violent sound was heard. Lu Xuanji looked solemn, and the cave bead was broken at this moment. Swish. Lu Xuanji took a step forward, urging the fruit tree of time to swipe towards the third elder of the Jinwu clan. Finally broken. The third elder said happily, putting away the jar, feeling a little distressed. The 9 nether god water is a top level divine material that can cleanse the soul and refine the impurities of the soul. It is very beneficial for a half-step god transforming cultivator. Thinking about the many benefits he would gain after killing Lu Xuanji, he could not care too much. At this moment, the entrance to the cave opened. Lu Xuanji appeared in the void, holding a small sapling in both hands. This sapling is about 3 feet 3 inches tall, with 9 forks and verdant green leaves, on which there are exquisite runes. The bark is grey, ancient, and chaotic, and the bark is mottled, as if it has experienced countless years of baptism, and witnessed a long history. This sapling looks quite small and delicate overall. The void is flickering, and the sapling is coming. Kill. The third elder has a grim expression, holding the golden sun sword in his hand. The golden sword is swung like a golden sunset, accompanied by a faint flame, turning into a tidal wave, sweeping over. His expression is a little hideous, and a trace of cruelty flashes in his eyes. It seems that the golden sword pierces Lu Xuanji's nascent soul and kills him on the spot. At the moment, when the golden sword pierces out, the third elder feels that the void seems to be still. The leaves of the sapling are rustling, and with the leaves rustling, golden ripples are emitted, like waves sweeping over. The waves hit his body, and he suddenly felt that his lifespan was being consumed drastically. 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 1000 years. It seemed like an instant, and it seemed like eternity. In just an instant, his lifespan was wiped out by 1000 years. As his lifespan disappeared, the third elder felt that his body became old, his skin became dry and yellow, his hair became pale, and his vitality was gradually exhausted, and he was approaching the end of his life in an instant. The lifespan of a Yuanying cultivator is only 2000 years. Even if he can turn the calamity once, the remaining lifespan is less than 500 years. With this swipe, his lifespan was exhausted and he died. Swipe. The remaining force rushed towards the formation and the 12 Yuanying demons. No, no. I won't accept it. The 12 Yuanying demons aged quickly, their vitality dissipated, and they fell on the spot. Crash. Without the control of the cultivator, the forbidden formation was broken on the spot. Lu Xuanji stepped forward, and was about to take the golden sun sword. The golden sun sword trembled, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared into the distance. At this moment, Lu Xuanji's eyes went dark and he fainted. Time passed, and he didn't know how long it had been. Endless darkness was the mainstream. At this time, it was a dark world, and darkness dominated the world. There was nothing else except darkness, eternal loneliness. As time passed, Lu Xuanji's mind was in a trance. After an unknown amount of time, he slowly opened his eyes. The light appeared, but it was a little dazzling, so he closed his eyes subconsciously. After a pause, Lu Xuanji opened his eyes. "Husband, you're awake." At this moment, Jinzi's voice came. "We survived?" Lu Xuanji asked, and after slightly moving his body, he immediately felt pain in his body and his magic power was somewhat exhausted. "We survived, but you were seriously injured and unconscious at that time. I brought you back." Jinzi sighed. "Back to the Lu family. With the help of the 6th grade formation here, we are safe. With the help of the formation here, even if the incarnation attacks, we can hold on for a while." "Ahem. Finally safe?" Lu Xuanji asked again. Jinzi also answered. "It has been 3 days since the fierce battle ended. During the battle, he ran out of mana and fell unconscious. Until now, he has completely woken up. The battle is over." Both of them breathed a sigh of relief and went to their caves to recuperate and heal their injuries. In the cave, Lu Xuanji checked his own injuries. The injuries were a bit serious. It had seriously damaged his foundation. The injuries were a bit serious. There were continuous minor injuries in their bodies, and the Yuanying was also seriously injured. The situation was worrying. After taking the Bushan Dan, he practiced the creation art again, and the mana wandered around the body, constantly repairing the body's injuries. The injuries were healing little by little, but the speed was a bit slow. 30 years later, the injury was completely healed. Xuanji let out a long roar, feeling indescribably happy. At this moment, the tree of time fell on his palm. This spiritual root was only 3 feet and 3 inches long, but when it was waved, the law of time was flowing, which could accelerate time and slow down the speed. It was also, because of the tree of time, that the enemy could be defeated in one fell swoop. I still know too little about this spiritual root, Xuanji thought. There is a strong power of time on the tree of time. Activating the tree of time can wipe out some of the enemy's lifespan. The weaker the cultivation, the longer the lifespan will be wiped out. The stronger the cultivation, the shorter the lifespan will be wiped out. Activating the tree of time can exhaust the lifespan of a Jiandan cultivator and reduce the lifespan of a Yuanying cultivator by 1,000 years. It can be considered luck to wipe out 100 years of lifespan on a Shenhua cultivator. Walking out of the cave, Xuanji walked towards Jinzi's retreat. The door of the cave opened, and Jinzi also walked out. Husband, I plan to retreat for a while and strive for the half-step transformation of the spirit, Jinzi said. Try hard, Xuanji said. We are still too weak. If you enter the half-step transformation of the spirit, I will have killed the 3rd elder of the Jinwu clan when I enter the 7th level of the nascent soul. Yes, we are still too weak, Jinzi said. At this time, Longzuan came to pay a visit, took out a box, and handed it over, saying, Master, this is a gift from the Danliang Patriarch. Jinzi opened the box, and saw a fist-sized pill inside. It was the Earth Soul pill. The ancestor is thoughtful, Jinzi said, took out a box, and handed it over, saying, this is the 6th grade enlightenment tea. Remember to give it to the Danliang Patriarch. I understand, Longzuan said, and went to the Danliang sect. Jinzi gave another instruction for a while and retreated again. Walking in the Lu family, Xuanji roughly arranged everything and entered retreat again. After entering the cave, Xuanji took the Yuanying pill to refine the medicinal power. With the operation of the creation art, the spiritual energy around him surged into his body like a tide. More than 3 layers of spiritual energy in the spiritual veins were completely absorbed by him. This was still his subconscious control of the rhythm to reduce the speed of spiritual energy absorption. If you absorb spiritual energy without restraint, it will cause certain damage to the spiritual veins. As the technique was running, a stream of spiritual energy entered the meridians along the acupoints, circulated in the meridians, and then entered the danshan, and was refined into drops of mana. Absorbing mana, the Yuanying grew up little by little, as if it was about to turn into a teenager. The mana traveled in the body, constantly tempering the bones, muscles, blood, internal organs, etc., and tempering various subtle places, and the essence of life was constantly upgrading. As the tempering continued, the blood was slowly changing. It was no longer red blood, but became colorful divine blood. Although this part of the 5-colored divine blood is very small in quantity, less than 1,000th of the human body, it has triggered a shocking transformation in the essence of life. There is endless vitality and supreme fortune in the 5-colored divine blood, which can be transformed into a supreme precious medicine at any time. But, as the skills are running, Xuanji's 5 internal organs are rising and changing, emitting brilliant light. The power of the 5 elements such as gold, wood, water, fire, and earth is flowing, entering the 5 internal organs, and evolving into magical runes. The runes are changing and constantly combining. The 5 element belong to the 5 internal organs, and the 5 internal organs are strengthening. The control of the power of the 5 element is also subconsciously improving and undergoing a dramatic transformation. It seems that the transformation has reached its extreme. The eyes are changing. The left eye turns into a bright moon, emitting a yin-inducing aura, and a jade rabbit is derived and transformed in it. The right eye turns into a sun, and the endless power of the sun condenses and evolves into a 3-legged golden crow. The feet are changing dramatically, and the acupoints on the soles of the feet are shaking slightly, resonating with the earth. It seemed that the earth was breathing and emitting vitality. The magnetic force belonging to the earth was resonating with the magnetic force in Lu Xuanji's body. He continued to practice. The acupoints on his body were flashing. Many of the acupoints were resonating with the stars in the sky, guiding the power of the stars to descend and deriving star gods from the acupoints. These star gods had different expressions, but they sat in the acupoints, as if they wanted to transform the acupoints into stars. The power of time was flowing, evolving into the time rune, entering the danshan. The power of space was flowing, evolving into the time rune, entering the danshan. The power of destruction was condensing, constantly changing. The power of creation was running and evolving into the power of the 5 element, the power of yin and yang, the power of magnetic force, the power of stars, the power of time and space, the power of destruction, etc. These different powers were flowing in various parts of his body, constantly tempering his body. The body radiated precious light and evolved endless magic. In the danshan, the number of runes was increasing, constantly overlapping and changing, turning into 9,999,999, and finally condensing into a sharp long knife, as if to cut everything and destroy the planet. Behind him, the bone runes were increasing and changing, and the number was constantly overlapping, entering the 21st layer, and gradually entering the 22nd layer. Time was passing, and I don't know how long it had passed. Lu Xuanji opened his eyes. The aura of his whole body burst out, and then converged, and turned into an ordinary appearance again. It was like a sharp sword returning to its sheath. Sensing the changes in his cultivation, he had already entered the 7th level of the nascent soul. The 7th level of the nascent soul is already the late stage of the nascent soul. Not only is his cultivation improving, but his physical strength is also improving by a level. Just relying on the strength of his physical body, he can punch the mountains and rivers, and intimidate the world. Counting the time with his fingers, 50 years have passed. It's been 50 years, and I still have the help of Yuan Ying Pill. If I don't have Yuan Ying Pill, I will need at least 150 years. Lu Xuanji pondered. My cultivation has improved, but the Yuan Ying Pill is also exhausted, and I have become a pauper again. Counting the storage bag, Lu Xuanji sighed again. When it comes to spending money, it always feels that there is not enough to spend. Walking out of the cave, looking at the place where Xuanji was in retreat, there was a formation blocking everything, and rays of light rose up, and runes rose and fell, forming a supreme formation to protect the cave from being disturbed by the outside world. Long Xuan sat on the periphery, ready to fight. Xuana, how is she? Lu Xuanji asked. She is still in retreat, but the specific situation is hard to say. Long Xuan said. Lu Xuanji looked at the periphery for a moment, and then turned and left. It is very dangerous to receive the Earth Soul. Even if there is an Earth Soul fruit, it is just a little more likely. Arriving at the main hall, Lu Xuanji said, where is the Great Elder? I want to see what's going on with the Lu family. Xuanji, the Great Elder is dead. He's been dead for over 200 years. Lu Xuanming said. Lu Xuanji, then he remembered that the Great Elder had fallen in the calamity and had been dead for over 200 years. He just subconsciously ignored it. After a long silence, Lu Xuanji asked, Xuanming, how is the Lu family doing? The Lu family's front line is normal. Both sides are fighting and fighting bloody battles, but the battle of transformation to the spirit has broken out again. Lu Xuanming said, in the battle, both sides suffered a lot of losses. Not long ago, Xianming's engine failed to attack the spirit. Xuanyu's engine failed to attack the spirit. Xianling's engine failed to attack the spirit. And Xuanming's engine failed to attack the spirit. 8 cultivators have successively attacked the spirit. All failed, and sat on the spot. Mengai's engine was assassinated by a powerful enemy and fell. Zuai's engine was assassinated by a powerful enemy and fell. Gilly's engine was attacked by a powerful enemy and fell. About 8 engines were attacked by powerful enemies and fell. Lu Xuanming said, talking about the situation on the front line. It is still very difficult to attack the spirit. 8 Yuanying peaks of the human race attacked the spirit, but all failed. As for the attack in secret, I don't know how many have fallen. Similarly, some human geniuses were assassinated by the demons and fell. As for him and Xuanji being killed halfway, this was not an isolated case, and it also happened to many cultivators. Chapter 499 New Mobile Function, Mobile Banking. Both the human race and the demon race were fighting, using all kinds of means to kill. Because of concerns or some other factors, the battle did not break out in the God transformation. But there were all kinds of bloody fights and fierce battles between the two sides, and none of them were missing. Assassination, calculation, group fight, poisoning, etc. All kinds of dark means continued, and they were merciless. As for the case of intercepting him and Xuanji halfway, it also happened to many cultivators of the human race. Many true lords were intercepted and killed, and many true lords killed them in return. Similarly, after the human race was angry, they also began to intercept the true lords of the demon race, and countless strong men of the demon race also fell. The two sides fought hard. While fighting fiercely, some top-level nascent souls began to impact the God transformation, but it was a pity that the God transformation had no regrets. If the impact on the God transformation failed, it would be completely fallen, and there would be no chance of reincarnation. Whether it was the human race or the demon race, there were many nascent soul true lords who failed to impact the God transformation, and turned into ashes, and the scene was somewhat miserable. At the same time, it also frightened countless cultivators, breaking their Deo hearts, and many true lords no longer dared to challenge the transformation of spirits. Xuanji, recently the world has been changing dramatically, the spiritual energy is recovering, and the true state has become very different. The concentration of spiritual energy has more than doubled on the original basis. Some natural spiritual caves, spiritual springs, and spiritual veins have been born in the territory of the true state, and some minerals are in the process of being nurtured. Because of the recovery of spiritual energy, the mountains have undergone drastic changes, leading to volcanic eruptions, frequent earthquakes, and huge changes in topography. Lu Xuanming said. Really? Lu Xuanji listened, subconsciously closed his eyes, and opened the 100 maps. On the 100 maps, the topographic map of the true state appeared. In just 50 years, the true state has undergone earth-shaking changes. In the territory of the true state, the plates are changing dramatically. During the movement of the plates, underground volcanoes erupted, and countless magmas rolled out. This is not a single volcano, but a large number of volcanoes one after another. As these volcanoes erupted, the spiritual energy buried underground also sprayed out, causing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to become extremely rich. Many volcanoes are still active. If it were in the previous life, encountering such a large volcano would be almost a devastating natural disaster. But in the world of immortal cultivation, many top cultivators were ecstatic and set up formations near volcanoes to sort out the spiritual energy and transform volcanoes into blessed places for cultivation. Not only are volcanoes frequent, but earthquakes are also erupting frequently, and countless spiritual energy leaks out with cracks in the earth. The spiritual energy on the ground is increasing. In just 50 years, it has more than doubled. This means that the spiritual energy recovery has begun. Swish. The next moment, Lu Xuanji walked out of the Lu family, walked outside, and began to measure the earth. When measuring the earth, he activated the primordial magnetic force, and the dull earth suddenly became alive, as if it had turned into a living being, breathing and thinking. It's just that the thinking of the world is running too slowly. With the help of the power of the primordial magnetism, Lu Xuanji felt that the earth was changing, and it was constantly tearing open one hole after another, and spiritual energy was pouring out. In the core of the star deep in the earth, the amount of spiritual energy gathered and transformed was so huge, and the amount was so astonishing. However, at this moment, with the frequent eruptions of volcanoes and earthquakes, it leaked out to the ground. The spiritual energy accumulated for a long time, in a very short time, caused the world's spiritual energy to increase. The spiritual energy revival began. With the revival of spiritual energy, many mineral veins buried underground also appeared on the surface, and countless spiritual caves also appeared. Not only that, the laws of heaven and earth are also very active. In the past, comprehending the laws was like looking at flowers in the fog, as if there was a layer of frosted glass, not very clear. But at this time, the fog dissipated, comprehending the laws of heaven and earth, the cultivation speed was faster, and the perception was more acute. The bottleneck that hindered the cultivator's improvement was also subconsciously reduced a lot. In the past, the difficulty of impacting the spirit transformation realm was at the 10th level, but now it has dropped to the 8th level. This is just the beginning of the spiritual energy recovery. If the spiritual energy recovery intensifies, the difficulty will continue to decrease. Soon there will be a scene where Yuanying is everywhere and there are as many as dogs. The upper limit of the world is rising, and the upper limit of the cultivators is also rising. The golden age is coming. What a beautiful era. A chaotic world is about to come. Xuanji sighed and suddenly thought of something. But at this moment, Xuanji suddenly felt his soul trembling slightly, and the mobile phone, dormant in the depths of the sea of consciousness, was changing drastically. The mobile phone was up and down, constantly absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Woo woo woo. With the operation of the mobile phone, a terrifying spiritual energy vortex gradually formed. The spiritual energy vortex started with only 100 miles, but gradually expanded to 300 miles, 500 miles, 1000 miles, 3000 miles, 5000 miles, and 10,000 miles. When it expanded to 10,000 miles, a huge spiritual energy vortex swept in, constantly expanding its area, not only absorbing the spiritual energy in the void, but also absorbing the power of the sun, moon, and stars in the sky, and pouring back into the vortex. Such a strange phenomenon is somewhat terrifying. The spies on the periphery saw this scene, their faces changed drastically, and they went to report the news. The cultivators of the Lu family were surprised and happy to see this scene. The ancestors' cultivation was greatly improved, which was a good thing for the Lu family. Under the command of Lu Xuanming, countless cultivators took action, and the 6th grade formation was in operation. The formation patterns were activated one after another, and a trace of terrifying aura rose up, like the hideous claws of a giant beast, ready to tear the invading foreign enemies at any time. Boom boom boom. At this moment, a terrifying aura descended, and a huge palm grabbed it. But the 6th grade formation rose up, and turned into a sword energy to stab out. On the palm, a bloody wound was pierced. After the palm was injured, it hesitated for a moment, and chose to evacuate. The spiritual energy vortex was sweeping, and a large amount of spiritual energy and starlight power swept in, and entered the mobile phone one after another. The mobile phone was like a black hole, constantly absorbing waves of spiritual energy, without stopping or stopping. After 3 months, the spiritual energy vortex gradually disappeared. The mobile phone was finally full, and Lu Xuanji was relieved. However, when he sensed the outside world, he found that the concentration of spiritual energy had dropped a lot. The spiritual energy in the area of 1 million miles was thin, like the end of the world. The spiritual energy from the outside world poured back, forming waves of spiritual energy storms. With the flow of spiritual energy, it took about 10 days for the spiritual energy here to return to normal. At this moment, looking at the mobile phone again, the mobile phone has undergone a shocking change. The mobile phone has another function. This new function, called mobile banking, can enable storage and exchange functions. Chapter 500, Fiu's engine's impact on the divine transformation. He turned on the phone, carefully checked the functions of the phone, and gradually determined its functions. The functions were somewhat amazing. Mobile banking, one of the functions of the mobile phone, can be used for currency storage, exchange, and conversion of spirit stones. Here, currency exchange business can be carried out, and low-grade spirit stones can be exchanged for medium-grade spirit stones, high-grade spirit stones, and even spirit crystals. The exchange ratio can be based on a probability of 1 to 100. Mobile banking has an exchange limit, and a maximum of 100 top-grade spirit stones can be exchanged for 1 spirit crystal per day. Looking at the new functions of this mobile phone, Lu Xuanji laughed. Mobile phone storage can store a large amount of information, many exercises, and collect big data. Destiny deduction can deduce interdependent conclusions, and analyze certain exercises. Beidou maps can know the enemy and yourself, and can explore some of the enemy's details, and avoid some risks. The mobile phone can also perform antivirus to prevent being possessed. In the early moments, the mobile phone helped him a lot, but in the later stages, the role of the mobile phone was declining. Gradually, it became dispensable. But now the mobile phone has been upgraded again. This newly added function is simple and crude, but the effect is amazing. In the world of cultivating immortals, there is a spiritual stone exchange business, and there is a corresponding exchange ratio. For example, 100 low-grade spiritual stones can be exchanged for 1 medium-grade spiritual stone. 100 medium-grade spiritual stones can be exchanged for 1 high-grade spiritual stone. And 100 high-grade spiritual stones can be exchanged for 1 top-grade spiritual stone. According to this calculation, 1 million low-grade spiritual stones can be exchanged for 1 top-grade spiritual stone. However, in reality, it will never happen, and it is impossible to happen. 1 top-grade spiritual stone is also very beneficial for the cultivation of the spirit transformation, but 1 million low-grade spiritual stones are just broken stones for the spirit transformation. Many times, the exchange cannot be completed. Especially in this world, the so-called spiritual stones are essentially equivalent to oil. Using spiritual stones as currency is using oil as currency. In the world of cultivating immortals, spiritual stones are indeed consumed in large quantities, but a large number of spiritual stones are also artificially produced. All this also leads to the fact that there are many low-grade spiritual stones with average value, but high-grade spiritual stones are scarce and expensive. As if to test it, Xuanji directly took out the storage bag and threw 10 million low-grade spirit stones into it. Mobile phone exchange in progress. Mobile phone transfer completed. Please keep 10 top-grade spirit stones. The next moment, 10 top-grade spirit stones appeared in the storage bag. Haha. Xuanji laughed, and laughed very happily. He took out the top-grade spirit stones for testing. This is a real top-grade spirit stone. It can't be more real. This means that I can use a large number of low-grade spirit stones to exchange for top-grade spirit stones, or even spirit crystals. Xuanji said happily, with a hint of joy. When a cultivator reaches the Jiandan realm, he can use his magical powers to make low-grade spirit stones. After reaching the Yuanying realm, he can make middle-grade spirit stones. After reaching the Huashan realm, he can make high-grade spirit stones. And only when he reaches the Liangsu realm can he make top-grade spirit stones. It can make those Jiandan cultivators of the Lu family busier, more 997, more contributions to the family, and forge more low-grade spirit stones. With the help of mobile banking, a large number of low-grade spirit stones can be converted into top-grade spirit stones, which means there is an endless supply of top-grade spirit stones. There are a large number of top-grade spirit stones for cultivation. If they are exchanged for spirit crystals, they can be used to activate formations or artifacts. Time passed, and 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the cave, Xuanji was counting the spirit stones. Over the years, he has been using mobile banking to exchange spirit stones, exchanging low-grade spirit stones for high-grade spirit stones, top-grade spirit stones, spirit crystals, and so on. 100 spirit crystals, 10,000 top-grade spirit stones, and about 1 million high-grade spirit stones. The wealth in the storage bag is not even as much as that of the god of transformation. Some of these high-grade spirit stones were left to the Lu family and given to those Jiandan cultivators and Yuanying cultivators. The remaining most of the top-grade spirit stones were left for themselves to use for cultivation. As for the 100 top-grade spirit crystals, they were embedded in the formation and became the source of the formation to activate the formation. At this time, a message came. Fiayu's engine wanted to break through to the spirit transformation, so he specially invited him to come and visit. Xuanji got up and left, heading for Danliang sect. When they arrived at Danliang sect, Fiayu's engine stepped forward to greet him and said, Dao is here, please come in. Thank you. After the greeting, the two entered the main hall. Later, Wangxing's engine, Moi's engine, Fixu's engine and others came one after another, which could be said to be a gathering of wise men. Dao, if I die in the catastrophe, when I break through to the spirit transformation, don't be too sad. Die for the sake of seeking the Tao, die for the right reason. Fiayu's engine said. Dao, respect. Dao, you must work hard. Dao, come on. The Yuanying cultivators present spoke one after another, with a somewhat sad look on their faces. After Fiayu's engine greeted him, he didn't say much, but went to the Taoist platform and sat on it. He took out a Yuanshan pill and took it on the spot. Yuanshan pill can increase the probability of breaking through the 3rd level, but it is still a big risk and a huge danger. In the past 100 years, there have been people who have reached the peak of the nascent soul and have attempted to enter the spiritualization stage, but 12 of them have failed. On the Daoist platform, Fiyu Zhenjin was gathering his aura. When his aura reached its peak, Fiyu Zhenjin's powerful cultivation burst out, mobilizing his powerful magic power to attract the heavenly soul, and the void was shaking. A golden sun appeared in the void, emitting a scorching light and a breath of destruction. The moment the golden sun appeared, it was about to disappear. However, under the traction of a great force, it slowly fell down and flew towards Fiyu's engine on the ground. This is the first step in guiding the heavenly soul, and it is also the most critical step in entering the spiritualization stage. The Zenjins present all held their breath and concentrated, fearing that it would disturb all this. But the golden sun was pulled and kept falling. The speed was very slow. About 3 days later, the golden sun fell and entered Fiyu's engine's body. The heavenly soul was successfully guided. As the heavenly soul entered the body, Fiyu's engine's aura rose, and the aura of destruction burst out. The heavenly soul merged into the nascent soul and was constantly being refined. The nascent soul was undergoing a dramatic transformation. Slowly changing, it was transforming into the primordial spirit. Whoosh! At this moment, a large amount of spiritual energy swept in, entering his body one after another, and became the source of transformation. Beforehand, the various spiritual stones prepared were broken and integrated into his body. The transformation continued, but the process was extremely slow. At the same time, the Danliang sect's formation was in operation, and the mountain protection formation was fully opened. Even if the transformation spirit cultivator wanted to break through, he would have to pay a huge price. But, at this moment, a demon clan true lord and a transformation spirit cultivator appeared outside the formation. Kill. Under the command of the Kunpeng demon clan, the demon clan strongmen began to attack the Danliang sect. The formation outside was shaking, and the earth was shaking. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.